Our MC points his gun and shoots a wealthy guy right in the chest. The second cow hits the ground. His bodyguards rush in and shoot Nian multiple times. Bleeding out, our boy tells the dying cow that all his money couldn't save his life, and he's just glad he finally avenged his parents. As his vision fades, Nian curses his unfair fate and refuses to accept going out like this. Suddenly, he opens his eyes and wakes up in bed. Checking his chest, he realizes he doesn't have a single scratch on him. Looking around the small room, he immediately recognizes it as his old apartment from his school days. Our guy quickly figures out he's been reborn into the past. He then spots an ad on his computer monitor for the open beta of a full immersion VR MMO game called Conviction, realizing the game just launched. Grabbing an old family photo, Nian remembers how his parents used to trade a rare metal, making them incredibly rich. His dad even opened a metal refining company, but the good times didn't last long. When Nian was 25, Cao's massive Century group targeted his father's business. Cao bribed their friends and relatives to betray them, leaving the company completely bankrupt. This pushed his father to take his own life, and his mother soon passed away from depression. Our fellow deeply regrets how lazy and idle he was in his past life, just wasting his days doing nothing while his family fell apart. Back then, with nowhere to turn, he just decided to take Cao down with him in a murder-suicide. But now that heaven has given him a second chance, he promises himself he won't lose anything ever again. He decides to enter Conviction. It's a revolutionary VR game that eventually becomes humanity's second world. He knows that in the coming years, countless big corporations, including Cao's Century Group, will build their fortunes inside this very game. Nian is fully ready to take them on and ruin their plans, especially since in his past life he was already a level 180 master thief in this exact game. Checking his phone, Nian sees the date is July 25th, 2025. The game Conviction has only been running for 7 days. He figures that the highest players on the leaderboard should only be around level 5 right now. With all his past memories, he knows he can easily catch up and use this perfect chance for a comeback. He grabs his bank card, realizing he has just enough savings left to buy the most basic game helmet. Later that night, he puts on the helmet and boots up the game. The system greets him and asks him to select his country. Conviction is split into 3 main groups: the Lawful Good Light faction, the Lawful Evil Dark faction, and the Neutral Giant tribe. Remembering his past playthrough, he chooses the human-led Greenland Empire under the Light faction. For his class, he picks the Shadow Dancer Thief. Since he poured years of effort into mastering this exact class before, he already knows every skill in class quest, giving him a massive advantage from the start. He names his character Nirvana Flame and finally enters the game world. He spawns right in the middle of the bustling Carol City in the Greenland Empire. Looking at his virtual hands, he takes in the familiar feeling of being back. He quickly opens his status panel and allocates his starting stats, adding 3 points to strength and 2 to agility. In his past life, he messed up his initial point allocation, which wasted a lot of his leveling time, so he makes sure not to repeat that mistake. With his stats set, he heads straight for the city's teleportation point. Walking through the city, Nian spots an arcane mage selling a basic white-gray dagger, but he ignores it, knowing he can teleport to Locktown and buy it for way cheaper. Soon, his eyes land on a level 3 silent paladin named Flying Stone selling a stealth skill book for 6 copper. A couple of other players are standing around complaining that the price is way too high. Nian knows that stealth is the most important basic skill for a thief. Having it right now is crucial because he remembers a hidden treasure chest in the level 5 Wildcat Monster Zone near Tracktown. Since most players are only level 2 or 3, nobody has reached that zone yet, and the chest's loot will massively speed up his leveling. He walks right up to the seller and asks for the stealth book for free. In return, he promises to share a secret spot where the guy can farm over a dozen of those books in a single day. At first, Flying Stone gets pissed and tells the level 0 lunatic to get lost, but Nian calmly stops him, asking if he farmed those books from Murloc Wizards in Link Town, even casually dropping the exact map coordinates. Shocked that a complete noob knows his farming spot, the paladin hesitates. Realizing he can farm a few more books today anyway, he decides to risk it and hands over the stealth book. The system confirms the trade between Flying Stone and Nirvana Flame. True to his word, Nian gives him the specific coordinates near the Murloc Wizard camp, where the drop rates are insane. Hyped about the tip, the paladin gets ready to head out immediately. Before he goes, Nian mentions that Murloc Wizards also drop the Night Owl Perception skill, asking the guy to mail him an extra if he finds one. Flying Stone eagerly promises to send any extra skills right away and jumps onto the teleportation pad, disappearing in a flash of light. Teleporting straight to Tracktown, Nian gets ready to secure his loot. He opens the book and the system confirms he learned the stealth skill. The skill conceals his presence, making him harder to detect, though it warns that higher level enemies can still spot him easily. Activating stealth, he dashes out of the town gates and sprints across the open fields until he reaches the Wildcat Monster Zone. Deep in the forest, he finds wildcats ranging up to level 5. Looking up at a large tree surrounded by a pack of level 5 wildcats, he spots exactly what he came for. He knows the chests in Conviction are ranked from white all the way up to legendary, and the loot inside is fixed. Once someone takes the items, the chest vanishes forever. He confirms it's a silver chest and is relieved no one has touched it yet. Since he is only level 0, taking on level 5 monsters is completely out of the question. Luckily, dying at level 0 means he won't drop any experience or equipment. With nothing to lose, he activates his stealth skill and makes his move toward the tree. Nian carefully slips past the wandering wildcats. He knows his stealth only lasts for 2 minutes right now, and opening a chest takes time, so he has to move fast. Making sure not to get too close to the monsters so they don't detect him, he smoothly jumps up the tree branches to reach the silver chest. He starts unlocking it, and his system progress bar appears. While the chest slowly opens, Nian reminds himself to stay calm, well aware that his stealth could break at any moment and leave him completely exposed to the pack of wildcats right below him. After 27 seconds, the chest finally pops open. He quickly grabs the loot inside. It's exactly what he came for, a skill book for Vital Strike. The system details state that hitting an enemy's vital point with this skill deals 150% damage, with a 30-second cooldown. It can be used by thieves, warriors, and paladins. Holding the new skill book, Nieyan notes that his perfect leveling path begins right now. Nieyan remarks that Vital Strike is a top-tier thief skill that can actually be learned at level 0. He uses the book to learn it, knowing this will cut his early leveling time in half. Right after the system confirms he learned the skill, his 2-minute stealth timer runs out. The level 5 wildcats immediately spot him up in the branches. Instead of panicking, Nieyan just jumps down right into the pack, casually thanking the monsters for guarding the chest. He knows that dying in conviction normally makes a player lose experience and equipment, but since he is still level 0 with nothing but starter gear, he doesn't mind dying at all. The wildcats kill him, and he drops a pair of novice gloves. The system instantly teleports him back to the nearest town. Spawning safely at the town square, our guy notes that using a death to get a free quick return trip is pretty handy. Now he gets ready to start phase 2 of his leveling plan. He needs 20 copper coins to pull it off, but a newly created account only starts with 10. Figuring out he needs to earn some money first, he walks through the town streets to find some hidden NPC quests he remembers from his past life. He walks up to an NPC named Hunter Klaus and accepts a quest to collect 20 silver gray giant rat skulls. Right after that, he goes to Farmer Endy and accepts another quest to kill 50 of those exact same rats. Next, Neon visits pharmacist Ol. Since he already took the quest from Klaus and Enda, Ol asks for his help gathering potion materials. A system notification confirms a hidden quest is triggered. Our guy knows this secret quest only unlocks if you accept the other 2 at the exact same time. He accepts the job to collect 21 rat tails. Out in the field, Neon spots a level 1 silver gray giant rat. He dashes in and uses his new Vital Strike skill, landing a critical hit that instantly kills the monster. He loots a rat's skull and a tail to progress his quests. The rat also drops a piece of equipment, some white-quality tough leather leggings. He notes he can easily sell these for at least 7 copper coins at the auction house. He spends the next hour grinding, repeatedly using Vital Strike to clear out the rat pack. After getting everything he needs, he heads back to town and turns in the items to the 3 NPCs. The system rewards him with 34 copper coins and 3 basic instant health potions. He's pretty happy the hidden quest gave him potions, which is a nice bonus. After putting the leggings up for sale on the auction house, he heads straight to the weapon shop, where the shopkeeper enthusiastically welcomes him inside. Nian tells the shopkeeper exactly what he needs. A crossbow usable at level 0 with an attack of +3 or higher, a fire rate of 12 or more, and a price under 40 copper coins. The shopkeeper enthusiastically brings out his masterpiece, the small powerful crossbow. It costs exactly 35 copper and features a +5 attack with a special triple shot effect. Nian buys it on the spot, along with 9 bundles of cheap crossbow bolts, spending 44 copper coins in total. Fully equipped, he leaves the town and heads straight for the Wild Buffalo Zone. He knows that Conviction has a strict level suppression system where every 5 levels creates a massive gap in power. The Wild Buffaloes here are level 8 monsters, meaning even the highest ranked players on the leaderboards wouldn't dare face them right now. On top of that, he is specifically targeting a Wild Buffalo leader, a rare boss monster. Despite being just a level 0 noob, his past life's memories make him completely confident he can kill it. Arriving at the wide grassy plains filled with grazing buffaloes, Nie Yan bypasses the regular mobs and makes his way toward a rocky canyon. He stops at the edge of a steep cliff overlooking a narrow crevice, checking the exact map coordinates 567-528-192. Looking down the rocky gap, he smiles, knowing this is the exact spot he needs to be. Looking down from the cliff, Nian spots his target, the level 8 Wild Buffalo leader. He pulls out his new crossbow, takes aim, and fires a volley. Because the level gap is so massive, most of his shots just miss, and even a critical hit only chips away 1 point of damage from the boss's 300 health pool. But our boy isn't sweating it at all. He came prepared with 9,000 bolts just to slowly wear this thing down to death. Pissed off by the attacks, the giant buffalo charges right at him, but it slams headfirst into the narrow canyon walls. The monster is just too wide to fit through the gap. Neon smirks, knowing this exact spot is a confirmed terrain bug from his past life. There's absolutely no way the boss can attack him here. He simply stands his ground and unleashes an endless barrage of arrows onto the trapped beast. 3 whole hours pass. After burning through nearly 4,000 bolts, Ni Yan starts wondering how this stubborn thing is still alive. He keeps firing until a final bolt strikes the buffalo, completely draining its health to zero. The massive boss finally collapses. For killing a monster so far above his level, the system rewards him with an insane 1,800% experience bonus, giving him a whopping 8,290 EXP. A golden light surrounds him as he skips level 1 entirely and jumps straight to level 2. Thrilled with how perfectly his plan worked, our guy hops down into the gap to see what the boss dropped. Sitting on the grass is a glowing red loot drop. He reaches in and pulls out a sleek, dark curved dagger. He checks the loot and sees it's an unidentified bronze-grade horn dagger. In conviction, boss drops like this are super rare with a very low drop rate. He figures it's a level 5 weapon that could sell for at least 3 silver coins, but he needs to get it identified first to see its exact properties. Just then, a system message pops up saying his leather leggings sold for 8 copper coins. Right after, he gets a voice call request from Flying Stone, the paladin he traded with earlier. He accepts, and Flying Stone excitedly calls him Master. The paladin confirms the farming spot works perfectly, saying he already got 2 stealth books and leveled up way faster. When he asks how a level 0 noob knew about the spot, Ni Yan casually explains that he played a different character before but deleted it to start fresh as a thief. Believing him, Flying Stone asks if Ni Yan has a guide for the Murloc Wizard Camp dungeon, mentioning his team keeps wiping out and losing their gear. Ni Yan offers a complete walkthrough for exactly 2 silver coins, with no room for negotiation. Flying Stone agrees and says he'll convince his captain to pay for it. After the call, Ni Yan heads back to Track Town to identify his dagger. The NPC charges him 10 copper coins. Ni Yan knows that identification fees are usually 5% of the item's base price, meaning this dagger is actually worth at least 12 silver coins on the open market. He hands over the copper and identifies the weapon. The system reveals the horn dagger is actually a level 0 weapon. It gives 18 attack points and a bonus property of plus 5 strength. Ni Yan is thrilled by the extra strength stat. With nearly 10 more attack points than a regular dagger, he notes that this weapon makes him practically invincible right now. Now that Ni Yan has a powerful weapon and his core skills, he realizes he still lacks a way to heal during fights. Usually, thieves have to choose between learning alchemy to craft potions or taking up bandaging skills. Since making money to buy potions won't be a problem for him in this life, he decides learning combat bandaging is the best choice. He stops by the medicine shop to learn the skill and buys 2 basic underwater breathing potions while he's at it. Prepared for his next move, he heads out to Rando Lake. Along the way, he dashes past groups of players fighting low-level fishmen. He makes sure to stay on high alert, knowing that out in the wilderness, players constantly get into fights and kill each other over stolen monster kills. Soon, he arrives at the edge of the fisherman village. To reach his actual destination, he needs to pass right through this densely packed settlement and dive into the lake. Seeing the massive horde of level 3 fisherman warriors, he notes it would take at least 1,000 players to clear this place out by force. Figuring his only option is to quietly sneak through, he gets ready to move. Suddenly, a system zone announcement pops up. A group called the Triumphant Guild declares they are locking down the area in 3 minutes and orders all players near the fisherman village to leave voluntarily. Staring at the glowing blue text, Ni Yan narrows his eyes, instantly recognizing the Triumphant Guild's name from his past life. Just like in his past life, he remembers how arrogant the Triumphant Guild is, always using their numbers to bully solo players. They even hunted him for months back then. He promises to settle that score slowly, but for now, he activates his stealth skill and carefully slips past the fisherman guards. Right as he reaches the beach and his stealth effect ends, a fireball suddenly blasts him. The system notifies him that a player named Purple Fire is attacking him, giving him a 5-minute window to defend himself without penalty. The attacker, a level 3 elemental mage from the Triumphant Guild, tells him solo players aren't allowed here and orders him to get lost. Seeing that the guy is completely alone, Ni Yan decides to take him on. He knows that when fighting a mage, a player has to either get into close combat or run away. Since running isn't his style, he charges straight ahead. He watches the mage start casting Flame Burst, knowing the spell has a 2-second cast time. Using that brief opening, Ni Yan instantly closes the distance and slashes the mage right in the chest with his dagger. Purple Fire jumps back, annoyed that a thief would dare attack a Triumphant Guild member. He immediately casts Blazing Fire Ring, an area of effect spell that hits Ni Yan for 39 damage. Unfazed, our guy just drinks one of the instant health potions he got earlier, recovering 89 health points while still standing inside the fire. He dashes right through the flames and slashes the mage again for 36 damage, pointing out that a mage can't escape once a thief gets close. Panicking, the mage unleashes another blast of fire to force Ni Yan back. Purple Fire assumes Ni Yan must be down to around 20 health points after taking those hits. Checking his own status, the mage sees he still has 51 health points left, and figures one more fireball will easily finish the fight. He leaps into the air to launch his attack, yelling that this is what happens when someone opposes his guild. On the ground, Ni Yan just calmly readies his dagger and waits for him to drop. Right before the mage can unleash his spell, Ni Yan hits him with a vital strike, slashing right through him. Purple Fire is completely stunned, wondering how a mere level 2 thief survived his fire attacks. He quickly realizes Mi Yan must have used an instant health potion and demands to know how a solo player could possibly afford one. Mi Yan coldly tells him to figure it out after he respawns back in town, watching the mage disintegrate into blue pixels. Grabbing the loot, Mi Yan picks up the weapon the mage dropped, a level 0 bronze staff worth over 10 copper coins. Knowing the rest of the triumphant guild will be on his tail any second, he immediately sprints down the beach to make his escape. Nearby, the other guild members get an alert that purple fire just died by the lake. A warrior spots Yan running away and shouts at his team to chase him down. Leaping high into the air with a massive sword, the angry warrior yells that escaping won't be that easy. He activates a skill called Linear Sword, bringing his glowing heavy blade crashing down right toward Yan. Yan easily dodges the heavy linear sword attack, leaving the warrior shocked by his speed. While sprinting toward the cliff edge, our guy pulls out an underwater breathing potion and drinks it. The guild members realize he's planning to jump into the lake and rush to stop him, launching a charge and a flaming slash. But Yan just leaps backward off the cliff, letting their attacks smash uselessly into the dirt as he plunges into the water below. Standing at the shore, the frustrated guild members realize they can't chase him since none of them brought underwater breathing potions. The rest of their team catches up and asks where the guy went. The warrior explains the thief escaped into the lake and tells his teammate to message the newly respawned purple fire to get the guy's name. Checking his system, the teammate confirms that the thief who just killed their mage is named Nirvana Flame. Deep underwater, Yan chuckles to himself, promising to remember the triumphant guild's faces for next time. Glad to finally be away from them, he swims toward the bottom of Rando Lake, remembering there are hidden treasure chests down here. Soon enough, he spots a small chest sitting among the rocks and seaweed. He opens it up and gets a fishman water-repelling pearl. The system explains it's a special item that grants a 30-minute underwater breathing skill with a 12-hour cooldown. He notes that even though it isn't a super rare drop, it is extremely useful for him right now. Right after grabbing the pearl, a heavy trident suddenly shoots through the water, barely missing his face. Yan quickly realizes he just swam right into a fishman nest. He knows he is absolutely no match for fishmen while underwater. At that exact moment, a massive explosion goes off up on the surface at the Fishman tribe village. The loud blast alerts the fishermen on the shore, and they immediately dive into the lake with their tridents. Watching the explosions on the surface, Yan smiles. He realizes the triumphant guild's attack just lured all the fishmen away, leaving his path completely safe. He keeps swimming until a system message tells him he discovered Heart Lake Island. Breaking the surface of the water, he takes a breath but suddenly hears a scream. He looks towards the shore and spots a pink-haired girl running from 3 giant spider monsters. He instantly recognizes her as Yahello, his holy word mage teammate from his past life. He remembers all the time they spent together back then and feels like running into her so soon after being reborn must be fate. Yahello spots him coming out of the water and starts to panic. With the 3 monsters right behind her, she worries that if this new player decides to attack her, she's completely dead. But Yan just leaps out of the water right past her. Gripping his dagger, he activates his Vital Strike skill and charges straight at the monsters. Yan slices through the first spider with his dagger. Realizing he's helping, Yahello stands her ground and hits another spider with her Holy Judgment spell. Working together, they quickly clear out the rest of the monsters using a mix of Vital Strikes and magic until the spiders disintegrate into blue pixels. Standing on the beach, Yahello thanks him for the help. He casually brushes it off and introduces his character as Nirvana Flame. Hearing the name, Yahello silently connects it to his real name, wondering if this player is actually the Yan she knows in real life. She introduces herself as Yahello and sends a friend request, promising to repay him for saving her today. He accepts the request and asks what she's doing out here on Heart Lake Island. She explains she's grinding a quest to collect water sacks from the water spiders. Since Yan needs to kill the exact same monsters for Silk Thread, he asks if she wants to party up. Yahello agrees and opens a trade window, handing over 12 silk threads she already collected as a thank you gift. Yan looks at the 12 silk threads, noting they are worth 36 copper coins. Yahello tells him that the experience she would have lost from dying is worth way more than that. Plus, she doesn't even have the silk thread quest, making the items completely useless to her. Hearing that, Yan accepts the trade. Suddenly, a giant monster bursts out of the water onto the beach. Yahello panics as she realizes a water spider lord just spawned. The system confirms they successfully formed a party, and they immediately start the boss fight. Yan rushes in and hits the monster with a Vital Strike for 52 damage. Yahello follows up by casting Holy Judgment, blasting the spider for 70 damage. The giant spider retaliates with a heavy slam. Yan tells Yahello to jump, and they both easily dodge out of the way. While still in the air, Yan pulls out his crossbow. He tells Yahello he will pull the boss's aggro so she can safely focus on dealing damage. He fires a quick volley of bolts into the spider, dealing consecutive hits of around 30 damage each to keep its attention firmly locked on him. Yahello follows his lead, casting Holy Judgment and Holy Strike. A bright blast of holy magic slams into the spider, dealing 70 damage and finally finishing it off. The system confirms they successfully killed the water spider lord. Watching the monster sink, Yahello is amazed. She realizes how incredibly smooth the fight felt and how perfectly in sync their coordination was, almost like they had been partying together for a long time. Nian notices her spacing out and asks what's wrong. Snapping back to reality, she quickly brushes it off. Curious, she asks why someone with his skills is out here grinding all alone. He casually replies that he's just more used to playing solo. Realizing he doesn't have a group, Yao smiles and mentions that her team is preparing to raid the Dryad Forest in Tracktown, asking if he wants to join them. Before agreeing to join, Yan asks about her team's shield warriors, specifically checking their defense and HP. He explains that the Treant Force is a level 3 dungeon, and the boss, the Treant King, is a sub-elite monster. If the tanks don't have enough defense, clearing it is impossible. Yao tells him they have 2 shield warriors with 53 defense and 230 HP. Yan immediately says it's not enough. He reveals that the Treant King has a 2% chance to deal a critical hit. If a tank's defense isn't at least 60, they'll get one-shotted. On top of that, the team's priest has to perfectly keep up with the healing. Shocked, Yao asks how he knows all this, as she's never heard anyone mention the boss dealing critical hits. She looks disappointed, explaining that her team is prepared for days and can't just give up halfway. But finding bronze gear to hit that 60 defense mark is just too difficult right now. Nian smirks and tells her there is another way, they just need to let him command the team. Yao hesitates, admitting that while she completely believes in his strength, convincing the rest of her team to take orders from a stranger might be tough. Still, she promises to try her best. Changing the subject, Nian heads over to check the Water Spider Lord's loot. He pulls out a piece of gear and uses the appraisal skill on it, surprising Yao that he already learned it. The item turns out to be bronze quality fine silk gauntlets with bonus magic and defense stats for mages. He tosses them over, telling her they are perfect for her. When she asks what he gets, Nian holds up a rare fine silk crafting material and a new thief skill book called Assassinate, saying he's more than happy taking just these 2 items. Seeing that he got a great haul too, Yao happily accepts the gauntlets. Just then, a server-wide system announcement pops up, warning all players that the game will close in exactly 3 minutes and telling everyone to prepare to log off. Yao waves goodbye, and Nian logs off just in time, his avatar dissolving into blue pixels as the server shuts down. Back in the real world, Nian pulls off his VR helmet. With the morning sunlight shining through his window, he realizes that while his in-game grind is on pause, he needs to start physically training his real body. He knows his enemy Cao Shu is always surrounded by bodyguards, so he can't afford to be weak in real life if he wants to take him down. He heads outside for a morning run. As he jogs down the street, a massive truck suddenly swerves right toward him. Reacting instantly, he dives out of the way, sliding hard across the pavement just in time to avoid getting crushed. As he sits up groaning, a familiar voice calls out his real name. He looks up and is completely stunned to see a girl with pink hair rushing over. It's Yao, looking exactly like her in-game avatar Yao. She pulls him up, scolding him for being so careless, and notices his arm is bleeding. While she hurries over to her car to grab a first aid kit, Nian watches her. He remembers that Xiao was his high school deskmate and his absolute biggest regret from his past life. Back then, his personality was too weak, and he never had the courage to confess his feelings to her. Even worse, just because she was associated with him, Cao Shu's Century Group eventually targeted her, pushing her until she developed a severe mental illness. Xiao carefully bandages his scraped arm, nagging him to stop being so rash. Instead of apologizing, Nian just smiles and casually flirts, asking why he should worry when he has her around. Blushing and flustered, Xiao huffs that she doesn't want to take care of him and quickly drives away. As she drives off, she can't help but wonder if the confident Nirvana flame she met in the game is actually Nian. Back on the street, Nian's smile fades into a serious glare as he thinks about Cao Shu. He knows he has to build his foundation and conviction as fast as possible to protect the people he cares about and change his grim fate. Suddenly, his phone rings. It's his best friend, Tang Yao, loudly complaining that Nian has been ignoring him for 2 days and demanding they hang out. Hearing his voice, Nian smiles, genuinely glad his buddy is alive. In his past life, Tang Yao was the only one who secretly supported him after Cao Shu ruined his family. Unfortunately, Tang Yao's habit of chasing women eventually got him beaten to death in a dark alley after he provoked a big shot. Nian promises himself he won't let his best friend suffer that same fate this time around. They meet up on the street, and Tang Yao happily throws him into a headlock. He immediately asks if Nian is playing the new hit game, Conviction. Nian plays it cool, just saying he's a level 2 thief. Hearing that, Tang Yao brags about being a level 3 arcane mage and drags Nian off to check out a local PK bar. A PK bar is a special gaming club where players can log in and use their characters to fight each other in competitive arena matches. While dying in these fights doesn't affect a player's actual game progression or experience, people always make things interesting by placing bets and wagering their hard-earned in-game equipment. Walking into the PK bar, Nian notes that Tang Yao loves to gamble even though he always loses. Right on cue, a guy named Wei Kai walks up, mocking Tang Yao about coming to give away his money again. Wei Kai then notices Nian and laughs, asking if the lesson he got last time wasn't enough. Tang Yao steps up, wrapping an arm around Nian and telling him not to worry since they won't dare try anything with him there. Watching Nian's quiet confidence, Wei Kai silently wonders why the kid is suddenly so calm and bold today. Tang Yao gets impatient and challenges Wei Kai to a match for 200 a round. They both hop into the gaming pods and the overhead screen shows the matchup. Tang Yao's level 3 Arcane Mage versus Wei Kai's level 3 Berserker. Watching the arena load, Nian immediately sees the problem. Wei Kai is a Berserker who already learned the charge skill, which puts an Arcane Mage at a massive disadvantage. On top of that, the map is a flat grassy plain, making it incredibly hard to dodge. He figures Tang Yao is definitely going to lose. Suddenly another guy named Shi Feng calls out to Nia Yan. He tells him to stop watching since Tang Yao is obviously going to lose and challenges him to a round instead. Nia Yan casually agrees but states he will only play one round and won't bother if the wager is too small. Furious at the sudden arrogance from a guy he considers a weakling, Shi Feng yells that he's going to teach him a lesson. He bets his entire stash of 700 on a single match. They strap into their pods, and the screen displays Niyan's level 2 Thief against Shi Feng's level 2 Ranger. The digital world builds around Niyan, and he spawns into the middle of a dense bamboo forest. As soon as the match starts, Niyan immediately activates Spelth, completely vanishing into the dense bamboo forest. Shi Feng climbs high up a bamboo stalk to get a better vantage point. Looking down at the empty ground, the ranger smirks, fully confident that the arrogant kid is going to lose. He scans the area, wondering where Niyan could possibly be hiding. But with 10 years of thief experience, concealing his presence is pure instinct for Niyan. Perfectly hidden in the shadows, our guy easily spots the ranger up above. He silently leaps into the air, appearing right behind Shi Feng, and slashes him across the back for 40 damage. Dropping to 70 health points, Shi Feng panics, completely shocked at how the thief got behind him. He desperately turns and swings his weapon to counterattack, but Niyan easily dodges the wild strike. Calmly declaring that it's over, Niyan activates Vital Strike and slashes right through him for 70 damage. The massive critical hit instantly wipes out the rest of Shi Feng's health, securing Niyan an easy victory. Shi Feng's avatar bursts into pixels, instantly ending the match. Outside the pods, the spectators at the PK bar are completely shocked that Shi Feng lost so quickly. Stepping out of his pod with a smirk, Niyan feels like fighting a level 2 beginner ranger is basically just bullying. Sitting in his own pod, Shi Feng is dumbfounded, wondering how a few simple movements resulted in a direct one-hit kill. Even Wei Kai is watching closely, shocked to see the usually submissive Niyan act so decisively. Niyan walks over to Tang Yao and asks how his match went. Tang Yao groans, admitting he lost 2 rounds and 1,200 bucks. He complains that Wei Kai's Berserker had an anti-magic aura, which he thinks completely counters his mage. Niyan casually corrects him, explaining that the aura only reduces a tiny bit of magic damage. He tells his friend that as long as the spell release timing is right, beating a Berserker is still very simple. Tang Yao admits his timing was off and got insta-killed when the Berserker closed in, but then looks at Niyan in surprise, asking where he learned all of that. Instead of answering, Niyan just holds out a stack of cash. Tang Yao stares at the money, completely stunned that his buddy actually won his match. Seeing this, one of Wei Kai's guys loses his temper. Furious that Niyan dared to win their money, the guy steps up, yelling about his arrogance, and throws a heavy punch right at Niyan's face. But Niyan doesn't even flinch, effortlessly catching the guy's fist midair with one hand. Niyan effortlessly flips the guy over, slamming him flat on his back. He mentally notes that in his past life, he practiced real-world fighting specifically to deal with Cao Shu. Tang Yao stands there completely shocked, wondering when his buddy got so tough. Seeing this, Shi Feng and the rest of Wei Kai's crew hesitate and back off. Wei Kai steps up, stopping his men. Realizing Niyan is completely different now, he asks if Niyan wants to play around with him instead. Niyan agrees but warns that he won't play if the stakes are too low. Wei Kai pulls out a wad of cash, offering 1,000 a round and noting he has 3,000 in total. Tang Yao immediately protests, arguing that a level 3 Berserker fighting a level 2 thief is just straight up bullying. Ignoring the level gap, Nian holds up 3 fingers and demands they bet the entire 3,000 on one single round. Wei Kai eagerly agrees, fully believing a level 2 thief stands no chance against him. Freaking out, Tang Yao grabs Nian by the shoulders, asking if he's crazy and if he even has that kind of money. Nian casually replies that he doesn't, which is exactly why he needs Tang Yao to lend it to him. Frustrated but loyal, Tang Yao sighs and agrees to front the cash for his best friend. With the massive bet locked in, Nian hops into the gaming pod, and the system announces he is entering the game. The match starts and they spawn on a wide-open grassy plain. Tang Yao watches from the outside, stressing out because flat terrain is the worst possible map for a thief who needs to hide. Wei Kai arrogantly offers to change the map if Nian thinks it's unfair, but Nian simply declines, saying the grassland is fine, and immediately activates his stealth skill, fading from sight. Wei Kai stands ready, knowing that even if he can't see the thief, the moving grass clumps will easily give away Nian's path. Nian knows this too, figuring he needs an external force to hide his tracks. He waits for a gust of wind to sweep across the plains. As the wind picks up and makes all the tall grass sway at once, Nian uses the natural movement to mask his approach. Completely losing track of his target in the blowing grass, Wei Kai panics. He blindly swings his massive sword in a wide circle but hits nothing. The Berserker sweats, realizing he's never seen a thief use stealth masterfully to turn a terrain disadvantage into a weapon. Suddenly, the wind stops. Ni Yan freezes perfectly in place right behind Wei Kai, patiently waiting for the exact moment the next gust of wind rises to make his strike. Wei Kai stays on edge, guessing the kid must be creeping up slowly in front of him to avoid leaving tracks. But as the wind blows through the grass again, Ni Yan suddenly materializes right behind him and slashes his back for 35 damage. Shocked that the thief got behind him, Wei Kai immediately retaliates with a whirlwind slash, spinning his heavy greatsword in a massive circle to force Ni Yan back. But our guy knows the game mechanics perfectly. He knows that using a greatsword for that specific skill leaves the player locked in a 1-second backswing recovery animation. Seeing his perfect opening, Ni Yan dashes right back in the exact fraction of a second the spin ends. He activates Vital Strike and slashes the Berserker. Outside the pods, the spectators are completely blown away by his flawless timing. The hit deals a massive 96 damage, instantly dropping Wei Kai to just 34 health points. Pushed to the brink and desperate, Wei Kai activates Flame Slash. His massive sword erupts in fire as he leaps into the air, bringing the blazing weapon crashing down toward Ni Yan. Unfazed by the fiery attack, our guy just calmly grips his dagger and readies himself for the strike. Outside the pod, Tan Yao yells for Ni Yan to dodge quickly. However, Ni Yan realizes Wei Kai is using Flame Slash just to force him back and break his combat rhythm. Knowing that close combat is his biggest advantage as a thief, and seeing that his health is still high enough, he decides to simply tank the hit. The flaming sword strikes him for 56 damage. Wei Kai gets furious that a low-level thief dared to arrogantly tank his skill. He immediately follows up with a move called One Strike Slash, charging forward with his great sword. Tang Yao panics, noting that the charge attack has a brief stunning effect, and if Ni Yan gets hit now, the match is over. As the glowing red blade sweeps toward him, Ni Yan smoothly leans backward, dodging the heavy slash at point-blank range. The spectators are completely shocked that he managed to dodge such a fast attack from that close. Ni Yan knows that the charge's attack range is actually shorter than his dagger's reach. Seizing the perfect opening, he steps in and drives his dagger right into the Berserker. The counterattack instantly drops Wei Kai's remaining health to 0, sending him flying backward across the grass and ending the match. Even though Ni Yan gets knocked back by the charge and takes 40 damage, he struck first. The system immediately announces his victory. Outside the pods, the spectators are completely stunned that a level 2 thief actually beat a level 3 Berserker. The crowd can't figure out how Ni Yan knew the exact skill ranges so perfectly. Stepping out of his pod, Wei Kai stares at his helmet in disbelief. Tang Yao runs over to celebrate, amazed by his friend's win. Noting how much Ni Yan knows about the game, Tang Yao asks him to teach him how to properly play an arcane mage, which Ni Yan gladly agrees to. Tang Yao then looks over at Wei Kai, making sure he won't back out of paying up their wager. Wei Kai accepts his loss gracefully and hands over the money, even inviting them to hang out at his bar in the future. As Wei Kai walks away with his crew, his underling asks why he is being so polite to the kid. Wei Kai simply explains that Ni Yan has changed completely and might become a big shot soon, so it is best not to make enemies with him. Thrilled with their winnings, Tang Yao happily offers to treat Ni Yan to a meal. Ni Yan agrees and promises to get in touch in-game tonight to go over the mage stuff. Later that night, Ni Yan spends time doing sit-ups and push-ups in his apartment. Feeling good about having his young, capable body back, he finishes his workout and grabs his VR helmet. He prepares to log back into Conviction, remembering he still has to lead Yao Yao's team through the tree and forest dungeon. Ni Yan logs back into Conviction, spawning right where he left off by the lake. His system immediately beeps with new messages. He gets a friend request from a player named Ezzy, who he knows is his buddy Tang Yao. He accepts it, planning to bring him along for the tree and forest run. He also has a message from Flying Stone. The paladin deposited a silver coin, confirming the walkthrough worked perfectly, and urgently asks if Ni Yan has a guide for the Augmat Muddy Swamp Dungeon too. Ni Yan decides to hold off on selling another guide so soon to avoid suspicion. He figures it's better to wait until their team fails a few times so he can sell it for a much better price. First things first, he heads over to Physician Blevins to turn in his hidden quest. He hands over the 30 fine silks he collected from the water spiders. Blevins thanks him, hands him 30 regular pieces of silk in return, and offers to teach him a skill. A system prompt pops up asking if he wants to learn Intermediate Combat Bandage. Since this is exactly what he came for, Ni Yan instantly accepts. The skill allows him to use 10 silks to apply a bandage that restores 20 HP, and it can even be used on teammates. Right after learning it, the system notifies him that the hidden quest is only 20% complete. Ni Yan realizes it's actually a long chain quest. Blevins confirms this by saying 30 fine silks are nowhere near enough and asks him to find more. Ni Yan happily accepts the next stage of the quest. Just then, he gets a message from Yao Yao. She tells him her team is all gathered and asks him to come over quickly. He replies that he's on his way. He notes that to continue this chain quest, he first needs to farm a specific item called the Featherfall Jewel, which drops exactly where he's heading, inside the train forest. Meanwhile, over at the Tracktown teleportation point, Tang Yao stands around in his new mage gear. He waits impatiently in the crowded square, wondering where Ni Yan is after he promised to carry him through a dungeon. Ni Yan finally meets up with Tang Yao at the teleportation point, telling his buddy they're going to farm the Treant King today. They head over to the gathered group, where Yao Yao happily waves them down. She's standing next to a beautiful blonde knight named Yulan. Tang Yao instantly points out the eye candy, asking when Neon met them. Yao Yao steps up and whispers that she spent a ton of effort convincing her team captain, Yulan, to agree to this, so he'd better not make them lose face. Off to the side, another team member, a wind thief named Shenbo, glares at Ni Yan, clearly already annoyed by his presence. Yulan greets Ni Yan, quietly assessing his calm and steady demeanor as the mark of a true expert. She asks if he's the guy Yao Yao claimed could lead them through the Trant forest. Ni Yan casually replies that he is 100% confident in clearing the dungeon, but he lays down one strict condition: he has to be the team captain, and everyone must completely follow his orders. Hearing this, the rest of the team looks skeptical. Chenbo instantly snaps, demanding to know why they should take orders from a complete stranger who might just lead their entire team to a wipe. Yulan quickly shuts Chenbo down, reminding him that they already agreed to this setup. She apologizes to Nian for her teammates' attitude and tells him to go ahead and create the party. Nian creates the team but lays down some strict ground rules. He warns them that while he is in charge, they must absolutely obey his commands. They can leave if they are dissatisfied, but if anyone plays tricks in the dark and causes a team wipe, he promises to be ruthless. As the players accept the invites, Yulan firmly backs him up. She announces to the group that Ni Yan's orders are her orders and anyone causing trouble will be permanently kicked from her team. Left with no choice, Chen Bo grudgingly joins the party. To ease the tension, Ni Yan reminds the group that they all share the exact same goal of clearing the dungeon. To prove he is serious, he confidently declares that if any mistakes happen due to his improper commands, he will personally compensate them with 10 silver coins. The massive sum completely shocks the team, leaving them impressed by his boldness. Yao Ya just smiles, whispering to Yulan that she knew he could do it. Wasting no time, Ni Yan takes charge and orders everyone to report their names and stats, starting with the shield warriors. The main tank, Boiled Water, steps up first, reporting 61 defense and 230 HP. Next is the sub-tank, Dumplings, with 51 defense and 160 HP. The rest of the members follow suit, including a fire mage named Blazing Flame and a player named Pumpkin. After hearing what he has to work with, Ni Yan immediately starts handing out tasks, ordering Boiled Water to go buy a haste potion and Pumpkin to grab a strength potion. Hearing the orders to buy so many expensive potions, the team immediately starts complaining. They argue that even if they clear the dungeon, they won't make enough money back to cover the costs. Genbo scoffs, muttering that even with all those potions, the team still won't be able to clear the tree and forest. Tang Yao smirks and mocks Genbo, asking if he's just talking nonsense because he's too poor to afford them. He even sarcastically offers to lend the guy some cash, instantly pissing Chenbo off. Yao Yao quietly asks Nian if clearing the normal difficulty really requires spending this much money. He assures her it definitely isn't a waste. To himself, our guy smirks, knowing that he has absolutely no intention of running normal difficulty. He is aiming for the highest tier, the expert grade dungeon. Once everyone buys their potions, the team heads out to the Trant forest entrance. Nian tells the group to wait while he goes to open the dungeon. He walks up to a giant ancient stone glowing with blue runes and interacts with it. A brief system lore text about the ancient forest and dark elves appears, followed by the dungeon difficulty menu. Without hesitation, Nian taps right on expert. Instantly, a massive teleportation circle lights up beneath the entire team, transporting them straight into the dark, gloomy tree and forest. As soon as they spawn inside, the system announces they've entered the expert gray tree and forest. Panic immediately sets in. The team members assume Nie Yan made a mistake, knowing they can't possibly clear it. Yulan, however, realizes he isn't the type to make rookie mistakes, and must have chosen expert on purpose. Shenbo angrily accuses Nie Yan of intentionally trying to get them killed to make them drop experience. Nie Yan calmly replies that since he brought them in, he has a way to get them out. He tells Chenbo he can just leave the party right now if he's dissatisfied. Yaya steps up and defends Nie Yan, telling Chenbo to stop constantly targeting him. Chenbo quickly backs down to appease Yao, but he secretly glares at Nie Yan, furious that she took an outsider's side. Leading the way, Nie Yan casually explains that expert difficulty isn't actually that hard. He notes the monsters just have 30% more HP, which only requires a bit more defense from the tanks and more damage from the mages. He adds the boss has a few changes too, but he'll guide them when the time comes. Yulan silently sweats, knowing that in a dungeon, even a 1% stat difference can cause a team wipe, let alone 30%. Yao Yao nervously asks if he's really confident about this, and Nian reassures her it won't be a problem. The team ventures deeper into the dark woods, walking over a floor covered in massive roots and vines. Suddenly the vines whip through the air. Nian quickly warns them that they've entered the Trans attack range and orders everyone to spread out to the sides to dodge. Right as he gives the command, a thick vine shoots out of the shadows, whipping straight toward Chenbo. The thick vine wraps tightly around Chenbo, lifting him high into the air. Panicking, he desperately screams for help, begging Captain Nirvana Flame to save him. The monster finally steps out of the shadows, revealing itself as a massive tree demon. Nieyan instantly takes control of the situation and barks out orders. He tells the shield warriors, boiled water and dumplings, to attack from the right. He orders the paladins to form a defensive wall and commands the mages to unleash their full firepower. Following his lead, the two tanks charge forward, slamming their heavy shields right into the tree monster. Right on cue, the mages launch a massive barrage of colorful spells that blast the tree demon. The combined firepower completely overwhelms the tree demon, instantly dropping its health to 0. As the monster dies, the vines loosen and drop Chenbo hard onto the ground. Humiliated, Chenbo glares at Nieyan, accusing him of setting him up. He claims Nieyan must have spotted the ambush ahead of time and intentionally didn't warn him, otherwise, he wouldn't have been so calm giving orders. Nieyan coldly fires back, telling Chenbo to get his facts straight. He points out that even the bulky shield warriors managed to dodge the attack, making Chenbo's lack of reflexes as an agile thief a complete joke. Tanya jumps in, laughing that any random thief off the street would be better. Yulan finally steps in and yells at Chenbo, asking if he hasn't embarrassed himself enough already. Shut down by his own captain, Chenbo falls silent. Ignoring him, Nieyan tells the team to keep moving forward. He warns them that the forest is filled with dark elf traps and volunteers to clear the path, adding a final jab to Chenbo that he'll teach him how a real thief plays. The team continues deeper into the woods with Nieyan leading the charge. Suddenly, a massive log trap swings down from the trees right toward him. While the others yell out in panic, Nieyan smoothly slides right under it. Without missing a beat, he dodges a volley of hidden crossbow bolts shooting from the sides. Right as a giant glowing net drops from above to capture him, Nieyan draws his dagger and flawlessly slices it to pieces midair. The team watches in amazement as Nieyan effortlessly clears the traps. Jealous of the praise, Chenbo scoffs, claiming he can disable traps too. He rushes ahead but immediately steps on a pressure plate. The ground gives way beneath him, sending him falling toward a pit of spikes. Just as Chenbo thinks he's done for, Nieyan grabs him by the ankle and yanks him back up, throwing him safely onto the dirt. Rather than being grateful, Chenbo angrily accuses Nieyan of setting him up, claiming he saw Nieyan walk right over that exact spot. Tangyao steps in, pointing out that Nieyan just saved his life. Nieyan looks down at Chenbo and bluntly tells him he stepped on the trap himself, adding that he just isn't fit to play a thief. Humiliated and enraged, Chenbo curses and challenges him to a duel. He lunges straight at Nieyan with his dagger, shouting that he'll kill him. Without even flinching, Nieyan casually catches the blade between two fingers, stopping the attack instantly. Staring at the shocked Chenbo, Nieyan coldly suggests he bring a few more people for a duel. Otherwise, it will be way too boring. Yulan and Yao Yao have had enough. They scold Chenbo for carelessly stepping on the trap and then pointing fingers at the guy who just saved his life. The rest of the team, including the shield warriors, backs Nieyan up, pointing out that Chenbo has been unfairly targeting him the whole time. Realizing no one is on his side, Chenbo snaps. He laughs and rage quits the party, mocking them to see how they'll clear the dungeon without him. Yao Yao apologizes to Nieyan for the drama, but he casually brushes it off, saying it's actually better without someone causing trouble. Yulan refocuses the group, and they continue deeper into the dungeon. Half an hour later, the team comes to a halt. Nieyan scouts ahead using stealth and spots a massive blockade. He reports back to the group that the path forward is completely blocked by 18 tree demons. Yulan starts to panic, knowing their team absolutely cannot handle that many elite monsters at once. Neon tells her to relax, assuring her he isn't crazy enough to make them fight the whole group at the same time. Dashing forward into the open, he pulls out his crossbow, ready to show everyone what god-tier monster pulling skills actually look like. Neon leaps into the air and fires his crossbow. Thanks to its special triple shot effect, 3 bolts shoot out, but they fly off in completely different directions. The team starts panicking, thinking his hand slipped and they are about to get swarmed by the whole pack. Ignoring them, Neon casually walks back and orders the main tank, Boiled Water, to stand at a specific set of coordinates. The bolts hit the trees and brush far off in the distance. The noise successfully lures most of the tree demons away, splitting them up and leaving only 2 behind. Watching this, Yulan is completely amazed. She realizes he just used a 3-shot crossbow to hit 3 different locations and pull aggro perfectly. She asks Yao Yao where she found such an expert, noting that even the top elite thieves on the leaderboards would struggle to pull off a move requiring that much vision and agility. Yao Yao just stares, equally surprised by how capable he actually is. With the path mostly clear, Neon initiates the attack. He orders Boiled Water to block one of the tree demons, reminding the tank that as long as he keeps his balance, the monster can't hurt him. He then commands the rest of the team to follow his lead and focus all their firepower on the second one. Boiled Water steps up and successfully blocks a heavy strike with his shield. At the exact same time, Ni Yan dashes right up to their target and slashes the tree demon with his dagger. Boiled Water holds his ground, perfectly blocking the tree demon's heavy strikes with his shield just like Ni Yan ordered. Meanwhile, Yulan and the rest of the team quickly finish off their target. With their monster down, Yulan yells for Boiled Water to hang on as the squad rushes over to back him up. They unleash a massive barrage of magic and attacks, easily destroying the second tree demon. As the monster disintegrates, it drops a glowing item. Yulan picks it up, completely shocked to find a bronze-grade gauntlet for mages. The rest of the team is amazed, noting that they never got gear drops this good even after clearing the entire normal difficulty dungeon. Yahello praises Ni Yan's incredible monster-pulling skills. He just smiles, reminding them he promised to lead them through an expert-grade run. He orders the team to stick to this exact method and clear out the rest of the tree demons. Fired up and fully trusting him now, the team eagerly agrees. They spend the next 20 minutes smoothly executing the strategy, pulling and taking down the monsters group by group. After completely clearing out the area, the exhausted team sits down to rest, totally hyped about the massive pile of high-quality gear they've already collected. Watching them celebrate, Ni Yan just smirks to himself. He knows this is only the beginning, and the true rewards for beating an expert-grade dungeon go far beyond what they've seen so far. After resting up, Ni Yan leads the team forward and tells them to head west. Yulan gets confused, pointing out that the west path is a known dead end and they should go east. Ni Yan just tells her to trust him and promises he won't lead them astray. To himself, he notes that this path holds a branching storyline so deeply hidden that absolutely no one in the game has discovered it yet. As they walk through the woods, they suddenly hear the soft sound of a flute. Up ahead, they spot an old man sitting on a rock playing the instrument. The system simply labels him as a nameless old man, but Nie Yan knows exactly who he is. Yan Pat, the tree demon shepherd and guardian of this jungle. Nie Yan recalls the dungeon's main lore. Yan Pat used to keep the tree demons and humans living in perfect harmony until dark elves showed up. The elves corrupted the demons, making them slaughter humans and forcing the human empire to send warriors to kill the Trand King. The old man stops playing and warns the team to leave immediately, stating the demons will kill any human who enters and will gain immense power once night falls. Stepping forward, Nie Yan respectfully addresses him by his true name, Honorable Shepherd Ian Pat, and declares that they came here specifically to eradicate the tree demons and ensure they face judgment. Hearing this, the old man gets furious. He yells that the underground beasts are the ones who truly deserve death because they stole his real flute and hid in the dark. Watching this whole interaction play out, Yulan is completely stunned. She realizes Nie Yan is successfully triggering a hidden storyline and asks Yahello how on earth he managed to find such a secret NPC. Yahello just stares at him in awe, admitting she has no idea who this guy really is. Nie Yan continues talking to the shepherd, knowing that if they don't trigger this hidden quest, beating the expert-grade boss is impossible. He tells the old man he already spotted the dark monsters lurking in the forest. Impressed, the shepherd hands over a special dungeon item, Dust of Appearance. This consumable reveals all hidden creatures within a 30-yard radius for 20 seconds. The old man tells Nie Yan to kill the dark elves and retrieve his stolen flute to stop the rampaging Tree King. The team leaves the old man and heads deeper into the dark forest. Yulan asks if he can really find the hidden dark elves the NPC mentioned. Nie Yan confidently says yes. They eventually reach a narrow path on a high cliff under the full moon. Yahello asks how he knows exactly where the dark elves are hiding. Nie Yan reveals the truth. They don't need to look for them because the elves have actually been following their group from the very beginning. Yahello jumps in surprise as dark, smoky silhouettes start appearing right behind them. Nie Yan just smirks, noting that the enemies have finally shown themselves. Nie Yan notes that the two dark elves are timid and will be impossible to catch if they manage to flee, so the team has to take them out in one go. He waits until they are deep in the narrow pass and throws the Dust of Appearance behind him. The sparkling dust reveals the two hidden dark elves, who look like small purple gremlins. Completely caught off guard, the elves try to turn and run, but Nie Yan already had his teammates in position. Boiled Water and Tang Yao are waiting right in their path. The shield warrior blocks their escape while Tang Yao laughs, telling them he's been waiting. Tang Yao quickly charges up his magic and blasts one of the elves with a massive pillar of fire. The monster screeches as it takes the hit. Seeing the opening, Yulan and the rest of the team rush in to help finish the job. Nie Yan orders the team to kill the elves, noting that they have the shepherd's flute. One of the elves tries to slash him with a purple-tinted blade, but he easily slips under the attack. Our guy counterattacks with a vital strike right to the elf's back, dealing 50 damage. With the rest of the team jumping in, they quickly wipe the floor with the two monsters. After the elves vanish, Nie Yan picks up the quest item they dropped. It's Ian Pat's flute. This special item is a total game changer for the dungeon because it makes all tree demons tremble, cutting their attributes in half and dropping their health by 300 points. Nie Yan is stoked because he knows they can definitely clear the forest now. Just as he's checking out the loot, Yahello calls him over, telling him she found something else he needs to see. Yahello hands Nie Yan a golden document she found. It's a secret letter from a dark elf named Wasserheim detailing a planned counterattack by the Drow tribe on the Hilton Fortress. As Nie Yan reads it, a system notification pops up, confirming he just triggered a branching storyline. He'll need to deliver this letter to Warlord Kavrot later on. Yahello is confused because the text is in Elvish, but Nie Yan explains it's a rare quest they can turn in once they get back to the city. The rest of the team gets hyped up, wondering what kind of rewards they'll get for such a hidden mission. Nie Yan then pulls out the shepherd's flute and hands it over to the main tank, Boiled Water. The second the tank holds it, he's shocked to see his health bar jump up by 300 points. With this massive buff, Boiled Water feels like he can take on the Tree Demon King without any fear. Seeing that everyone is ready, Nie Yan tells him to move out. Tang Yao watches the group follow his friend's lead, noting how quickly everyone's attitude toward Ni Yan changed from doubt to total respect. Our boy just keeps walking forward, focused on clearing the rest of the dungeon. The team continues pushing through the forest, clearing out more demons as they go. One of the monsters drops a glowing, golden shield, and Boiled Water picks it up. He's completely floored to find it's a bronze-grade buckler that gives a 10% defense boost, noting it's way better than any shield he's ever owned. Seeing how much the gear would help her tanks, Yulan walks up to Nie Yan. She feels a bit awkward asking since they only got this far because of his leadership, but she offers to buy the buckler from him. She knows that with a shield like that, her team could handle higher-level dungeons even on their own in the future. Nian doesn't care about the extra cash. He tells her he only needs thief gear and a specific item called the Featherfall Jewel that drops from the boss. He says he'd just end up selling the rest of the loot anyway, so she can just keep the shield for free. Yulan is genuinely thankful for the gesture. Yao also steps up, feeling a bit sorry that they're taking so much from him, but she thanks him anyway. Just as they finish talking, a massive, ground-shaking tremor hits the area. A giant, thorny vine, much larger than anything they've faced so far, bursts from the earth up ahead. The team realizes they've finally reached the end of the forest. It's time to face the Tree Demon King. A bunch of huge vines explode out of the dirt, and Ni Yan yells for everyone to stay focused because the boss is finally here. He tells the squad to get into their battle formation immediately, specifically ordering the shield warriors to move to the front and wait for his signal to engage. The Tree Demon King reveals itself, appearing as a massive, twisted tree monster. It's a level 4 Lord-grade boss with exactly 1000 HP. The monster is pissed, growling at them about trespassing on its land and telling them all to die. The boss doesn't waste any time and swings a giant wooden arm down at the group. Nian shows off his master-level thief reflexes, easily dodging the heavy slam by flipping through the air and landing safely as the ground shatters where he was just standing. The team is floored seeing how easily Nian, a mere level 2 thief, manages the level 4 Lord-grade boss. Yulan admits she's never seen a thief this skilled. Nian doesn't waste any time and commands Boiled Water to step up and engage. He tells the melee fighters to stay behind the tank, and warns the mages to stay at least 30 yards away from the Tree Demon King to avoid getting hit. Boiled Water charges in, slamming his shield against the massive tree monster. He manages to deal 36 damage but realizes the boss's defense is insanely high. Seeing the tank has the aggro, Nian yells for the mages to unleash their attacks. On his signal, a wave of magic spells flies across the battlefield, hitting the Tree Demon King from all sides as the team starts wearing down its massive health bar. The mages continue their assault, but Boiled Water takes a heavy hit for 78 damage. Seeing the tank struggling, Nian yells for him to use the flute. Boiled Water quickly plays the instrument, and a system message confirms Ian Pat's flute is activated, cutting the Treant King's stats by 50%. Nian then commands the mages to focus strictly on fire spells, warning them that the boss has high ice resistance. Tang Yao is all over it, since fire is his specialty. Mian then turns to the team's priest, making sure she has the Dispel skill ready. He warns her that the Treant King is about to use fear. He explains that if their tank gets hit by the crowd control effect, she needs to cleanse him instantly. He tells her to stay calm and wait for his command. Right on cue, the boss lets out a massive roar, casting fear across the area. As the green aura of fear hits Boiled Water, Mian immediately shouts for the priest to cleanse him. She reacts instantly, casting a bright light that clears the crowd control effect. Boiled Water is impressed by the perfect timing and gets back to holding the line. The team keeps up the pressure, whittling the boss's health down to under 3,000. Suddenly, the Tree Demon King lets out a terrifying roar. Mian warns everyone to brace themselves because the boss is entering its enrage phase. Yulon is shocked, as she didn't even know this boss had an enrage mechanic. Nian quickly orders Boiled Water to switch to a defensive stance to survive the increased damage. He then tells the priest to chug their mana potions and spam their healing spells without stopping. The tank takes a massive hit for 220 damage and grunts that he can't hold out much longer against this kind of power. However, the priests follow orders, drinking their potions and landing constant heals that keep Boiled Water's health bar from bottoming out. Boiled Water continues to tank the boss's heavy blows, thinking to himself that without the constant heals and the debuff from Ian Pat's flute, he would have been killed long ago. He quickly drinks one of his health potions, finally realizing why Nian insisted they stock up on supplies before starting the run. The Tree Demon King unleashes a powerful area of effect skill called War Trample, slamming its massive trunk into the earth and shaking the entire battlefield. Seeing the boss is on its last legs, Nian commands the team to hurry up and focus all their fire to burst it down. Yulan and the other fighters leap into action, landing skills like Heroic Strike and Holy Light Slash. Mian finds a perfect opening and lunges at the boss, activating Vital Strike and dealing another 50 damage. Under the relentless assault of the entire team, the massive Tree Demon King is finally overwhelmed and defeated. The massive Tree Demon King shatters into pieces and crashes to the ground, completely dead. The team stands there in stunned silence for a second before breaking into cheers. They can't believe they actually cleared an expert-grade dungeon. Yao Yao admits she never thought their current party composition could pull it off. Boiled Water and the priest give all the credit to Mian's flawless shot calling, with the tank adding that he never dreamed he'd actually survive tanking an expert boss. Thanks to the massive experience boost from the clear, multiple team members suddenly level up, glowing in golden light. While they celebrate, Nian walks straight up to the boss's remains. He reaches into the glowing pile of loot and pulls out the exact item he came for, the Featherfall Jewel. He checks the system stats and sees it's a level 0 dark gold accessory. It gives a solid boost of 8 defense and 7 strength. More importantly, its active effect drastically reduces the user's weight, making them fall as light as a feather for 3 minutes. Staring at the jewel, Nian notes that all his effort today was completely worth it just to get his hands on this one item. Right after grabbing the jewel, a golden light surrounds Nian as he levels up to level 3. A system message pops up announcing they cleared the expert tree and forest and rewards them with a massive 1,200 team glory points. Boiled Water is hyped, noting he's never seen glory points spike that high from a single run. Nian tells the team they can split the rest of the boss loot since he's good with what he got. He reminds them they still need to head to Kalor City to turn in the hidden quest. Yulon sincerely thanks him again, admitting she doesn't even know how to properly thank him for everything. The team steps into the teleportation circle and arrives at the Kalor City waypoint. Nearby players immediately notice that the whole group just leveled up. Watching from the shadows, Chenbo glares at Nieyan with pure hatred. Still furious about his own failures, he silently vows to make Nieyan pay for humiliating him today. Unaware of the bitter thief, Nieyan leads his team straight to the Kalor City military garrison. They walk right up to a high-ranking NPC, Warlord Kavrot. The warlord asks what brings the young adventurers there, and Nieyan hands over the golden secret letter. He reports that they captured 2 dark elves in the Tran forest and intercepted vital intel regarding an attack on the Hilton stronghold. The warlord's expression instantly turns serious as he looks over the document. Warlord Cavaro praises Nieyan for doing them a massive service and hands over a handsome reward. System notifications instantly pop up showing Nieyan earned over 32,000 EXP and a bunch of reputation points for both the Hilton stronghold and Kalor City. On top of that, Cavaro gives him 2 silver coins, 2 free strength attribute points, and a skill book for the stone ability. Nieyan smiles, thrilled that the hidden quest paid off with free stats and a new skill. With the quest turned in, Nieyan tells the team they should get going. Yulon asks what his plans are now, and he casually replies that he's going to grind mobs to level up. He mentions that now that he has the Featherfall Jewel, he can actually solo the elite boss, Lion King Kador. Hearing this, Yulon and Yao Yao say their goodbyes, with Yulon promising to mail him his cut of the money once he sells all the dungeon gear. After the girls leave, Tyne Yao excitedly grabs Nieyan, calling him Boss Yan. Completely blown away by the dungeon run, he begs Nieyan to hurry up and teach him the arcane mage ropes. Nieyan agrees, but says they need to get geared up first. They head over to the blacksmith shop, where Nieyan equips a brand new set of bronze-grade gear. He puts on azure leather armor, soft leather leggings, horsehide boots, and bracers, giving him a solid boost to his agility, strength, and defense stats. Feeling good about his new setup, Nieyan tells his buddy it's time to roll out to Rain Hills, promising to teach him how to play his mage class on the way. They eventually arrive at Rain Hills, a gloomy rocky mountain range with lightning flashing overhead. Standing in front of a dark cave entrance, Nieyan explains that the place is crawling with cave bats that drop bat teeth. He gives Tanyao a challenge. He has exactly 1 hour to see how many teeth he can farm by himself. Completely hyped and ready to prove himself, Tanyao tells Nieyan to just watch and steps right into the dark cave. Inside the cave, a giant bat screeches at Tanyao, but he just blasts it with fire spells, easily taking it down. Outside, Nieyan decides he can't slack off either and dashes into his own cave. He leaps through the air, effortlessly slicing through a swarm of bats and picking up the bat teeth they drop. About half an hour goes by, and Nieyan wonders how his buddy is holding up. Suddenly, a frantic call comes through from Tanyao, begging for help because he's getting ganked by red-named players. He tells Nieyan they're from the Radiant Sacred Flame Guild. In conviction, players who illegally kill others get a red name as a penalty. Hearing this, Nieyan instantly sprints out of his cave, telling Tanyao to stay out of sight while he rushes over. Tanyao says he's okay for now, using the maze-like paths of Rain Hills to kite the attackers so they can't catch him. Nieyan asks how he even aggroed them in the first place. Tanyao explains he was just farming bats when he stumbled onto a level 3 chieftain boss. He was going to call Nieyan to do it, but the PKers jumped him out of nowhere. Tanyao guesses they just camp in this area to kill players and steal their gear. Nieyan tells him to just keep kiting them. Smiling to himself, he decides to go have some fun with these guys. Arriving near Tangyao's location, he stops and looks down at the cave entrance. Just as he suspected, a group of players is guarding the exit, waiting to trap his friend. Down at the cave entrance, one of the PKers tells their leader, a level 3 elementalist named Dian Kang, not to worry about Tangyao escaping. Watching them from above, Nieyan smirks when he recognizes the rare fire chaser set on Dian Kang. Since red-name players drop their entire inventory when killed, this is the perfect chance for some free loot. Activating his stealth skill, Nieyan scales down the rocky cliff wall, reminding himself not to underestimate players who confidently PK out in the open. Suddenly, Dian Kang senses something is wrong. He orders his men to fall back and immediately cast Ring of Fire, blasting flames in all directions to catch his attacker. He taunts the hidden thief, asking if he really thinks he has what it takes to loot his gear. The fiery blast forces Nieyan to dodge, revealing his position. The other PKers immediately spot him and yell to kill the thief. Realizing this elementalist is actually highly skilled, Nian knows he can't afford to let the guy kite him from a distance. To close the gap fast, he pulls out a scroll of swiftness, instantly boosting his speed by 20% for the next 30 seconds. The ring of fire expands and hits Nian, dealing 35 damage. The system instantly activates his self-defense mode, giving him 30 minutes to fight back without any player-killing penalties. Instead of retreating, Nian charges straight through the wall of flames. Dian Kang is completely shocked that the lunatic would tank the fire just to close the distance, wondering how he is moving so fast. Reaching the mage, Nian activates his new assassinate skill and stabs Dian Kang right in the chest for 40 damage. Desperate to fight back, Dian Kang starts charging up a heavy spell called Scorching Pyroblast. Noticing the speed buff, one of the other PKers yells out that Nian used a scroll of swiftness. A warrior quickly jumps in to protect his boss, bringing his greatsword down with a flame slash. Nian raises his dagger to block the heavy strike, taking only 12 damage from the clash. Right after that, a paladin thrusts his weapon forward with a holy light attack, cursing at the thief. Nian easily dodges the glowing strike. He glances over at Dian Kang and notes that Scorching Pyroblast has exactly a 5-second cast time. Knowing he can easily reach him before the spell finishes, our guy ignores the melee fighters and dashes straight toward the casting mage. Nian reaches the mage well before the 5-second cast finishes. He lands a heavy kick that deals 30 damage, completely interrupting the spell and hitting Dian Kang with a stun. While the mage is dazed, Nian quickly slices him twice for 20 and 18 damage. Dian Kang snaps out of the stun and frantically leaps back, screaming at his team to peel the insanely fast thief off him. The warrior complains they can't catch him but still activates charge and rushes in. Nian just casually leaps right over the charging warrior, landing perfectly in front of Dian Kang. He immediately activates Vital Strike and slashes the mage for 60 damage, finishing him off. A system notification pops up, confirming he killed a red name player and rewarding him with 1 reputation point. Because of his red name penalty, Dian Kang drops his entire inventory as his body dissolves. The other PKers panic and rush in to grab the loot, terrified of what their boss will do to them if they lose his gear. But Nian is way ahead of them. He effortlessly snatches the glowing loot off the ground, stoked to finally claim the fire chaser set for himself. Desperate, the warrior swings his greatsword down with a linear strike, but Nian just blocks it, taking a measly 17 damage. Having gotten exactly what he came for, our guy turns and dashes away while the remaining PKers desperately chase after him, yelling not to let him escape. As Nian runs, a stray attack grazes him for 16 damage. Since his movement speed is too high for the PKers to catch up, he casually uses his combat bandage skill while running to heal his health back to full. The enemies spot him healing and curse in frustration. With his HP topped off and his skill cooldowns completely reset, Nian suddenly stops in his tracks. He turns right around and targets the warrior, declaring he's next. The warrior swings his heavy sword, but Nian easily leaps over the attack. In one smooth motion, he strikes the warrior with a vital strike for 55 damage and immediately follows up with assassinate, slashing him for another 38 damage. Panicking, the warrior yells for the thief to get off him and swings wildly to create some distance. Nian jumps back to dodge the attack. While flipping backward through the air, he pulls out his crossbow and fires a quick volley. The 3 bolts hit the warrior right in the chest, dropping his health bar to a tiny sliver. Sweating in fear, the warrior realizes he is only 1 hit away from dying. He quickly figures out that if he keeps chasing this crazy thief, he's just going to get killed and drop all his own gear too. The warrior turns and makes a desperate run for it, but he isn't nearly fast enough. Nian instantly appears right behind him, asking if he really thought he could run, before slashing him down. The warrior screams as his health hits 0, his body dissolving into pixels, and dropping his glowing gear onto the ground. Nian snatches up the loot, and turns his attention to the last PKer standing. He coldly tells the priest that he's up next. The priest is completely terrified, sweating bullets as he realizes his entire team is dead. He panics, knowing his squishy healer has absolutely 0 chance of surviving a one-on-one fight against a thief. Looming over him with a menacing glare, Nian raises his dagger. He smirks and asks the terrified priest if he's still having as much fun as he was when he was spamming holy light spells just a minute ago. The priest screams as Nian effortlessly finishes him off. Checking the loot, Nian gathers the dropped items, which include a staff and the complete bronze-grade fire chaser set. Noting that the set gives huge fire damage and defense boosts, he realizes it's absolutely perfect for Tanya's fire mage build. He decides to keep the set for his friend and auction off the rest of the trash gear. Nian messages Tanya asking for his exact coordinates. Tanya replies that he's hiding in a cave filled with level 5 mobs and is too scared to step outside. Nian tells him to hang tight and shares the fire chaser set's stats in their chat. Seeing the shared items, Tanya completely freaks out, asking if he's dreaming. He can't believe Nian actually managed to gank a Radiant Sacred Flame red name and loot an entire rare set. Tanya laughs, saying that getting this gear feels so good that even if the PKers kill him today, it's totally worth it. Nian just tells his buddy to wait there because he plans to hunt down a few more of the guild members. Meanwhile, somewhere else in the forest, another squad of Radiant Sacred Flame players gets the news. One of them announces that boss Dian Kang is dead. The rest of the group is completely shocked, wondering who could possibly kill their boss when he had the Fire Chaser set and top 10 DPS in their entire guild. The Radiant Sacred Flame members realize that since Dian Kang was red-named, he dropped his entire inventory. They ask who ganked him, assuming a massive raid was trying to start a guild war. The messenger shocks them by revealing it was just one single level 3 thief. The group completely loses their minds, unable to believe one guy wiped out Dian Kang's whole 3-man squad. The messenger confirms Dian Kang verified it himself and announces the guild just issued a kill order for the thief, Nirvana Flame, with a 5 silver coin bounty. They are ordered not to engage him without at least a 3-man party. Hiding in the trees right above them, Nian listens in and smirks at his 5 silver bounty. He activates stealth, deciding to show these guild players who rely on numbers what a real solo player can do. Suddenly, a loud rustling startles the group below. They panic, thinking the thief found them, but a level 5 Horned Deer chieftain bursts out of the bushes instead. Seeing no other mobs around, the squad leader figures they won't find the thief anytime soon anyway, so they decide to burst down the chieftain first and split the gold. Still in stealth, Nieon watches them engage the boss, noting he just found his perfect opening. Down below, the squad's tank steps up and blocks the deer's heavy charge with his shield. He yells for his team to hurry up and hit it, and the other members rush in, slashing the monster and leaving themselves completely distracted by the boss fight. While the melee fighters chip away at the Horned Deer chieftain, the 2 casters in the backline confidently declare they'll melt the boss in 30 seconds. But before they can cast anything, Nian drops from the trees right behind them. He immediately hits the priest with his new stun skill, locking him in place, and then slashes the mage for 35 damage. Nian unleashes a rapid flurry of strikes, draining the mage's health bar. Panicking, the mage realizes they're getting ganked and desperately tries to drink a health potion. Nian just strikes his hand, shattering the bottle and dealing the final blow. The mage dissolves into pixels as Nian casually notes that it's one down. Right then, the priest snaps out of his stun. He looks around, completely confused about where his teammate just went. Before he can figure it out, Nian dashes in and slices him twice. In a panic, the priest fires off a Holy Judgment spell, hitting Nian for 30 damage. Meanwhile, up at the front, the tank continues blocking the deer boss, completely oblivious to the slaughter behind him and just wondering why their ranged DPS suddenly got so quiet. Up at the front, the tank finally notices the flash of the priest's Holy Light spell. Realizing someone is jumping them, he quickly pieces together that it has to be the thief they were hunting. The other melee fighter panics, asking what they should do since they are getting pincered while still holding the boss's aggro. The tank makes a split-second call, ordering his team to ignore the ambush and focus all their fire to burst down the chieftain first. Once the boss is dead, they can turn around and gank the thief together. Following the command, the tank braces his heavy shield against the deer's antlers while the warrior leaps in, slashing it with a linear strike. The combined attacks drain the last of the boss's health, and the Horned Deer chieftain lets out a final roar before collapsing into pixels. Rushing through the bushes, Nian arrives at the clearing just as the monster dies. Watching the boss fade away, he clicks his tongue in frustration, annoyed that he was a single step too late to steal the kill. Nian checks their health bars. Even though they are low on HP, they are all melee classes grouped tightly together, so he decides he can't risk a reckless push. The tank warns his teammates that they've already lost 5 guys to this thief, but reassures them that the guild's main backup force will be there any second. Stepping out from the trees, Nian taunts them. He asks if they are seriously too scared to push a 3-on-1 fight, and tells them if they are just going to sit there, he is leaving. The tank yells back that they aren't stupid enough to fall for his bait. He knows Nian just wants them to split up so he can pick them off one by one, firmly stating that as long as they stick together, the thief can't touch them. Hearing this, Nian realizes they are just stalling for time. Not wanting to fight a whole guild, he casually waves goodbye, telling them they'll play again some other time, and turns to dash off. Seeing him bail, the tank curses and yells to pin him down just as their backup finally rushes onto the scene. The reinforcements arrive, but Nian is already gone. Frustrated that they lost him, the guild members order everyone to fan out and search the entire area, determined not to let him escape. Meanwhile, Nian is already far away, safely running in stealth. He smirks, noting that he knows this map better than anyone and they will never catch him. He decides to let the guild run around in circles while he heads off to check on Tang Yao. Down in a dark cave, Tang Yao messages Nian his exact coordinates. He explains that he hid inside a level 5 rock spider cave, knowing the Radiant Sacred Flame players would never expect him to hide in a high-level mob area. Nian drops out of stealth inside the cave right next to Tang Yao. Surprised, Tang Yao asks how he managed to get past the PKers outside. Nian casually replies that he obviously just used his stealth skill. He then hands over the Fire Chaser set and tells his buddy to equip it. Tang Yao is touched, realizing Nian specifically looted the gear from Dian Kang just for him. Tang Yao puts on the red robes and checks his stats, completely amazed that his magic damage just spiked to 50. Nian notes that with this kind of DPS, they can easily take on high difficulty quests. He tells Tang Yao to follow his lead as they head deeper into the dark cave, remembering from his past life that there's a silver chest hidden inside. He figures that with Tang Yao's new firepower, they have more than enough damage to clear the area. As Ni-Yan dashes forward, he tells Tang Yao they need to clear out the rock spiders at the choke point first to reach the chest. He fires his crossbow to pull a level 5 rock spider's aggro. Tang Yao immediately follows up, casting arcane flames and blasting the spider for 35 damage. Tang Yao is completely blown away, realizing this is the true power of the fire chaser's set since he's hitting that hard against a monster 2 levels higher than him. Ni-Yan jumps in and hits the spider with Assassinate for 26 damage, telling Tang Yao not to just stand there and to back him up. Fired up, Tang Yao eagerly unleashes more fire spells to finish the monster off. Tang Yao calls his buddy insane, amazed that they are actually farming mobs 2 levels above them. Ni-Yan just tells him to keep up the pace. They push forward, clearing out the rest of the rock spiders with ease until they find a silver chest sitting in a beam of light at the back of the cave. Tang Yao asks how Ni-Yan knew it was there, and Ni-Yan casually claims he spotted it on his way over. Tang Yao gets frustrated, realizing that neither of them has the lock-picking skill to open it. Ni-Yan tells him to relax, explaining that the game developers are generous and the key is usually a monster hiding right next to the chest. Right on cue, a giant level 5 rock spider chieftain bursts out from the ground. Tang Yao panics and asks what the plan is. Ni-Yan simply says they are going to nuke it. He leaps forward to engage the boss, ordering Tang Yao to stay at least 20 yards back. He warns him to use the choke points and not to kite the boss too far, or else he'll aggro the other spiders in the cave. Tang Yao agrees, falling back and blasting the chieftain with an arcane fireball. The spell hits for 18 damage. Noticing the numbers, Ni-Yan smiles, realizing fire spells have a massive damage multiplier against this boss and knowing they Ni-Yan dashes at the rock spider chieftain, telling Tang Yao he'll handle the crowd control while leaving the heavy damage to him. He hits the boss with a stun, dealing a quick 10 damage, and yells for his buddy to take the shot. Tang Yao immediately blasts the stunned spider with an arcane fireball for 20 damage, but the boss quickly snaps out of the crowd control. Ni-Yan warns Tang Yao just as the massive spider lunges. He recklessly trades blows with Ni-Yan, slamming him for a heavy 78 damage. Falling back, Ni-Yan quickly uses his combat bandage to heal up. Seeing the boss going berserk, he yells at Tang Yao to fall back, keep moving, and watch out for ground spikes. Tang Yao dodges just in time as a massive, sharp rock bursts from the cave floor right where he was standing. Sweating, he realizes he would have been a shish kebab if Ni-Yan hadn't warned him. Ni-Yan tells him he'll hold the aggro and to keep the DPS coming. Tang Yao takes a second to chug a minor mana potion. Now back to full mana, he gets completely fired up, readying another massive fire spell to send the boss straight to hell. Tang Yao launches an arcane fireball, blasting the spider for 25 damage. Right as the fire hits, Ni-Yan leaps down from above and drives his dagger straight into the boss's head with a vital strike. The hit deals 30 damage and finally kills the chieftain. Completely exhausted, Tang Yao drops to the cave floor, amazed they actually took down a boss 2 levels above them and hyping himself up as a badass. Meanwhile, Ni-Yan glows with a blue aura as he levels up. Checking the loot, Ni-Yan finds a block skill book, a silver key, and a meteor fall skill book. He hands the meteor fall book to Tang Yao, explaining it's a massive area of effect nuke perfect for farming mobs. Tang Yao is stoked. Ni-Yan casually mentions it's solid, though it still falls short of high-level stuff like sanctuary or draconic magic. Confused, Tang Yao asks what he is talking about, but Ni-Yan just brushes it off, telling him we'll find out eventually. With the area clear, Ni-Yan tells his buddy it's time to crack open the chest. They walk over to the silver chest at the back of the cave. Ni-Yan inserts his new silver key, unlocking the chest and dropping the key's durability down to 2. The lid pops open, revealing a glowing purple ring inside. It's the Silk Spinner's ring. Ni-Yan checks the system window, noting it's an incredible utility item that shoots a strand of tough spider silk to latch onto objects, making it perfect for scaling walls, climbing trees, and jumping off cliffs. Tang Yao looks at the ring and calls it a trash tier accessory, but Ni-Yan smiles, telling him that for a thief, it's a literal god tier artifact. He then asks if Tang Yao learned the meteor fall skill yet. When his buddy confirms he did, Ni-Yan says it's time to take it for a test drive. Looking down a tunnel completely packed with rock spiders, Ni-Yan tells him to start casting while he pulls the mobs. Ni-Yan dashes right into the swarm, easily weaving through the spiders to group them all up. Watching the massive pull, Tang Yao starts channeling his spell, sweating over the painfully slow cast time. He finally unleashes Meteor Fall, sending giant flaming meteors crashing down into the cave. The massive fiery explosions completely wipe out the spiders. Ni-Yan slides safely out of the blast zone and complements the nuke. Tang Yao just stands there staring at his hands, amazed that he actually dealt that much burst damage. Ni-Yan walks up and tells him to stop standing around so they can push deeper in. Tang Yao awkwardly laughs, admitting he's completely out of mana and already burned through all his potions. Ni-Yan mentally kicks himself, remembering that casting Meteor Fall at their current level completely drains a player's mana pool. He really wants to keep going since he knows the absolute most important item in the early game is hidden deep inside this exact cave. Figuring he'll just be dead weight without mana, Tang Yao asks Ni-Yan to escort him to a safe zone so he can teleport back to the city. Ni-Yan agrees to the plan, deciding to use the walk back to teach his buddy some more arcane mage mechanics. Tan Yao pulls out a town portal scroll and thanks Nian for turning a terrible gank into a massive win. He's hyped that he not only survived but also scored the Meteor Fall skill. Nian just smiles, saying that's what bros are for, and watches his friend teleport away. With Tan Yao gone, Nian turns around and heads back deep into the dark cave. He remembers that at the very end of this rock spider cave lies a page of the Chapter of Order, an item every player dreams of getting. According to the game's lore, the Chapter of Order and the Chapter of Chaos are divine artifacts that dictate the continent's laws. Each chapter has 6 volumes and 36 pages scattered across the world. Assembling the Chapter of Order makes the wielder the Supreme Pontiff, while gathering the Chapter of Chaos turns a player into the King of Darkness. Right now, the game is only in its first expansion. The first volume of the Chapter of Order consists of 6 pages. Goodness, justice, courage, wisdom, fairness, and freedom. These pages give reality-breaking power, instantly rocketing anyone who finds one straight to the top of the leaderboards. In his past life, the guildmasters of the top 3 super guilds relied entirely on the Chapters of Order to build their massive empires and become living myths. But this time around, Nian is the only person in the entire game who knows exactly where these pages are hidden. Armed with this knowledge, he walks deeper into the cave, determined to forge his own myth in this life. Nian thinks back to the top players from his past life who wielded pages from the Chapter of Order. He remembers Soaring Angel using the Chapter of Justice to wipe out a 100-man raid all by himself. He recalls a holy mage named First Emperor Killer using the Chapter of Courage to instantly purify 300 necromancers, and a berserker named Half-Awake Fox using the Chapter of Wisdom to become completely unstoppable in guild wars. Knowing that the Chapter of Courage is buried right here in this cave gets his blood boiling. Dropping further down, he hears running water. Up ahead, 3 massive rock spider chieftains are completely blocking the narrow path. Since taking on 3 bosses at once is a bad idea, he just activates stealth and quietly slips right past them. He reaches an underground pool and dives in, immediately activating the water-repelling pearl he got earlier so he can breathe underwater. Swimming down, he remembers reading about a hidden chest here that absolutely broke the game's forums in his past life. Sure enough, he spots a glowing gold chest resting at the bottom. Getting a closer look, he recognizes an old pirate emblem on the lid, meaning it's an antique chest that's way rarer than a normal gold one. He opens it up and hits the jackpot, pulling out an unidentified dagger called Assassin's Precept. Judging by its design and aura, he knows it has to be at least a gold-grade weapon. Thrilled with the loot, he figures even if he doesn't find the Chapter of Courage today, this run is already a massive win. He then spots a glowing tunnel further ahead and swims toward it. Nie Yan swims through the glowing underwater tunnel and breaks the surface, stepping out into a bright, sunlit forest. He's amazed to find such a beautiful hidden zone buried so deep inside the dark spider cave. Walking forward, he spots a glowing book resting on an old stone pedestal. The second he touches it, a mysterious power surges into him. The system announces he just discovered a chronological history book, instantly teaching him 3 ancient languages and granting him the co-rule chronological index. But the real prize is the book itself. The system confirms it is the Chapter of Courage, a legendary item fragment from the Chapter of Order. He checks the stats and is completely blown away. Passively, it grants him extra stat and skill points every 5 levels. It also gives him super insight to scan enemy stats and identify equipment, along with an overpowered skill called Divine Arbitration that grants total magic immunity and a massive health shield. Seeing these broken abilities, he finally understands how top players in his past life easily soloed entire armies. He reminds himself to be extremely careful from now on, until he gathers all 6 chapters to bind the book to his soul. Dying means this legendary item is a guaranteed drop. Suddenly, a thought hits him. An item this powerful should definitely have a massive boss guarding it. Just as he wonders if he really got to loot it for free, the ground violently shakes. Massive rock spikes erupt from the earth all around him. He quickly realizes that picking up the chapter triggered the Guardian's aggro. Looking back, he sees the pool he came from is completely blocked off by the spikes. With his escape route cut off, Nie Yan knows he just has to run. Nie Yan shoots a line of silk from his new silk spinner's ring to a nearby cliff and swings himself to safety just as the ground completely explodes behind him. Out of the smoke and rubble, a giant fiery winged demon emerges. Nie Yan uses his new super insight skill to check its stats. The system reveals it is a level 100 Order Guardian with a massive 200,000 health pool. The boss takes to the sky and starts raining down huge fireballs. Nie Yan sprints through the forest, dodging the blasts. He knows that at his current level, even a grazing hit from a random area of effect attack from this monster will easily one-shot him. He realizes his only chance to survive and keep his new loot is to make it all the way back to town. Meanwhile, over in Link Town, a massive shadow passes over the buildings. A system zone announcement pops up, warning everyone that draconic creatures have spawned in the southern sector and telling non-combatants to evacuate. The players are completely confused about why high-level draconic mobs are suddenly appearing out of nowhere. Groups of heavily armored NPC knights called Holy Crusaders immediately start mobilizing to deal with the threat. Back in the woods, Nie Yan keeps running toward the safety of the town. He glances over his shoulder and sees the fiery Order Guardian flying right behind him, easily keeping up the chase. Realizing he still has the boss's aggro, Yan pops another scroll of swiftness for a speed boost. He uses his new silk spinner's ring to shoot a strand of silk into the trees, swinging himself forward to cover more ground. The Order Guardian unleashes a massive beam of fire that obliterates the earth right behind him. Yan barely dodges the direct hit, but still takes some burn damage from the searing heat. Sweating, he pushes through the pain and tells himself to hold on just a little longer. He shoots another web to launch himself further toward the town. Just as the massive demon charges up a giant fireball to finish him off, a glowing arrow suddenly shoots out of nowhere and strikes the boss right in the face. Relieved, Yan realizes the city guards are finally stepping in to help. Back at the town walls, an elite NPC named Warlord Nizod stands with his bow drawn, backed by a massive army of heavily armored Holy Crusaders. A soldier reports that their defensive line is holding and awaits his command. Nizod coldly orders his knights to bring judgment down on the mindless draconic beasts. The massive Order Guardian flies right toward the town. Swinging its fiery spear, it casts blazing meteors, sending dozens of giant fireballs raining down from the sky. The system immediately triggers a level 1 town alarm for a draconic creature invasion. Players inside the town panic and run for their lives, terrified they are going to get wiped out. Just before the meteors hit the buildings, Warlord Nysod activates the town's basic protective barrier. A huge purple energy dome appears, covering the entire city. The fireballs crash into the shield and explode harmlessly, leaving the players safe inside. With the defense holding, Nysod orders his Holy Crusaders to attack. The knights draw their weapons and unleash a massive volley of glowing energy spears, shooting them straight up into the sky right at the Order Guardian. The glowing spears strike the Order Guardian mid-air. The massive blast of energy heavily damages the demon, sending it plummeting from the sky and crashing hard into the ground right outside the town's barrier. Watching from the safety of the town, a few players see the monster fall. A white-haired swordsman gets excited and tells the players around him to form a team, figuring they can easily finish off the nearly dead boss. But a priest quickly shuts the idea down. He points out that the monster is a level 100 Lord boss, meaning even with just 1% of its health left, it could still easily wipe them all out in an instant. Realizing he's right, the swordsman agrees they should just stand back and watch the NPCs finish the job, while the priest sighs that it's a real shame they won't be able to grab any of the loot. The Holy Crusaders continue their barrage, raining down more glowing blue spears that strike the Order Guardian and keep it pinned to the ground. While the swordsman and priest watch from the safety of the town, Yan decides to make his move. He grabs one of the glowing energy spears that landed nearby. Leaping down from above, he plunges the weapon straight into the heavily injured boss, shocking the two players as he swoops in to steal the final kill. But the boss isn't dead yet. A player and the blonde swordsman from earlier try to rush in to get some hits, but the Order Guardian instantly blasts them away. The swordsman gets swatted by the monster's fiery spear and is sent flying back. Seeing he didn't get any loot from the kill, Yan decides to just walk away. But a guy calls out, telling him it won't be that easy to leave. A group of armed players suddenly dashes forward and surrounds Yan. Completely unfazed, Yan looks back and asks if they really want to make him stay. Before a fight breaks out, a guy steps in front of Yan to defend him. He calls the dark-haired guy Li Ma Hangdao and claims Yan as his friend. As the rest of his team steps up to back him, the blue-haired guy warns that his resplendent temple guild isn't afraid of the Dark Massacre Guild. Li Ma Hangdao just smirks at the threat, declaring that none of them are going to leave today. Watching the standoff, a blonde warrior in red armor laughs, figuring there's nothing left for him to do. The paladin standing next to him, Flying Stone, calls him boss and points right at Yan. He explains that the thief is Nirvana Flame, the exact expert who sold him the dungeon guide earlier. Intrigued, the blonde boss notes that the way Yan snatched the boss's loot proves his skills are the real deal. He steps forward and calls out to Yan, introducing his group as the Holy Roman Empire Guild. He casually invites him to join their team for a run through the Ogmut Muddy Swamp dungeon in a few days. The leaders of the other two guilds are completely shocked by the sudden invitation. Spotting Flying Stone in the group, Yan pieces together that the paladin belongs to the Holy Roman Empire. He agrees to join the dungeon run, but he lays down one strict condition. He gets the absolute first pick of any thief equipment and items he can use from the dungeon drops. The surrounding players are dumbfounded. They think the kid is completely crazy for making demands of Sleepy Fox, the guild leader, especially since Sleepy Fox is essentially giving him a perfect excuse to escape the current standoff. Even Sleepy Fox's own underling complains that Yan is being way too arrogant and pushing his luck. But Sleepy Fox just smirks. He tells his underling that anyone who dares to speak that boldly usually has the skills to back it up. Without hesitating, Sleepy Fox agrees to the terms, promising Yan first pick of the thief gear. The spectators are left in total disbelief, wondering who exactly this kid is to make a big shot like Sleepy Fox agree to such crazy demands. Realizing his guild can't possibly fight both the Resplendent Temple and the Holy Roman Empire at the same time, the dark-haired leader of the Dark Massacre Guild starts sweating. Sleepy Fox steps up and casually asks Brother Dronzer to do him a favor and let the whole thing go. Knowing he's completely outmatched, Dronzer agrees to let it slide out of respect for the guild leader and orders his men to fall back. With the enemies gone, the blue-haired guy, Radiant Star, thanks Neon. He assumes Neon used his ties with the Holy Roman Empire to save them so he could safely secure the boss's loot, but Neon bluntly tells him he's overthinking it. Sleepy Fox then asks Radiant Star if he got a good haul from the boss. Radiant Star sighs and shares the item's stats, a gold-grade stout armor of courage. Even though it's a super rare drop, it requires level 100 to equip. Since everyone is way too low level right now, it's basically useless and will just have to sit in his guild's treasury as a trophy. Flying Stone then runs up, super excited that they actually get to run a dungeon together next time. Both Sleepy Fox and Radiant Star send Neon friend requests, promising to hit him up when it's time for the run. The system confirms the ads, and Neon silently marvels at how he accidentally ended up befriending these big shots in this life. With the situation completely settled, Neon waves goodbye to the group and heads out. Walking alone through the city's streets, he's excited that he finally has time to appraise the mysterious dagger he pulled from the underwater chest earlier. Neon uses his new Transcendent Insight skill to appraise the mysterious dagger. The system reveals it as the Assassin's Precept, a gold-grade offhand weapon requiring level 5. It gives a massive 28 attack points, 16 strength, and 12 accuracy. He's hyped because finding an offhand weapon is incredibly rare. He knows that once he hits level 5 and learns the dual-wielding skill, this dagger will give his damage output a massive boost. Checking his clock, Neon realizes he still has half an hour of game time left for the day. He decides to use this chance to finish up Dr. Blevin's chain quest, and steps into the Telak town teleportation point. He teleports over to the merfolk village, only to find the entire area completely destroyed and covered in burning rubble. He notes that the victorious Return Guild moved incredibly fast to clear the place out, spotting a few solo players scavenging the ruins. He figures they probably picked up the fine silk he needs. Since he doesn't have the time to farm the mobs himself, he just walks up and buys the silk directly from them using his coins. With the item secured, Nieyan travels to Heart of the Lake Island. He finds the Honorable Doctor quietly fishing by the shore and hands over the 90 pieces of fine silk. Blevins is absolutely thrilled, declaring he finally has enough materials to return to the Hilton Stronghold tomorrow. A system notification pops up, rewarding Nieyan with 11 Hilton Stronghold reputation points. The doctor glows with a holy light, blessing the young adventurer and praying for the darkness to finally be eradicated. The doctor thanks him and hands over his rewards. Nieyan gets over 16,000 experience points and a new pair of gold-grade Swift Evasion boots. Checking the stats, he sees they require level 5 and give a solid boost to his defense and movement speed. He is pretty hyped to score another piece of gold-grade equipment. Right then, a system message pops up warning that the server is shutting down in 1 minute. Nieyan checks his status and sees his level 4 experience bar is already at 98%. Since he doesn't have enough time left to hit level 5 today, he figures he'll just have to do it tomorrow. He logs out, and his avatar turns into blue pixels. Back in his apartment, he takes off his VR helmet. Knowing he needs to improve his physical body just as much as his in-game character, he immediately starts a heavy workout. He pushes himself through sit-ups, push-ups, and lifts weights, promising himself he won't slack off in this second life. Sweating from the intense training, he decides he should find a local martial arts dojo soon to properly test out his real-world strength. Later, Nieyan heads to the Lin family martial arts dojo to test his real-world limits. At the front desk, he asks for a 2-hour pass. The receptionist turns out to be his former classmate, Lin Jia. She immediately catches an attitude, assuming he came specifically looking for her just because he wrote her a love letter once in the past. She tells him to stop pestering her, but Nieyan completely ignores her and just walks right past without saying a word. Annoyed, she mutters to herself about how his family is drowning in debt and calls him a poor loser who shouldn't even have the free time to work out. A buff guy walks up and asks who he is, and Lin Jia just dismisses Nieyan as complete trash whose only decent trait is his grades. Ignoring the background drama, Nieyan steps up to a pull force testing machine. He grabs the cable and yanks it hard, hitting 162 kilograms. Wiping his sweat, he notes that while it's nowhere near his peak strength from his past life, it's still a pretty solid start for his current, younger body. Next, he moves over to the weight-bearing machine, squatting down and pressing up a solid 155 kilograms. Across the gym, the buff guy keeps watching Nieyan. Lin Jia asks what he's looking at, brushing off her former classmate as just a skinny monkey. Right then, Nieyan winds up and throws a heavy punch at the testing machine. The loud impact echoes through the whole dojo, leaving both Lin Jia and the buff guy completely shocked by how hard he hit it. After finishing his workout, Nieyan heads back to the front desk. Lin Jia completely changes her tune. Acting super sweet, she calls him Brother Nie, covers his 2-hour fee, and hands him a card with 26,000 for breaking the dojo's record. Nieyan takes the card and thanks her, surprised by the extra cash. Lin Jia then leans in and flirts, telling him she's free tonight and offering to treat him to a drink at a club. Without hesitating, Nieyan just tells her he isn't interested and walks right out the door, leaving her standing there rejected. Lin Jia is furious about the rejection, cursing him for being an arrogant poor kid. Meanwhile, Nieyan heads to the mall and uses his bonus cash to stock up on a month's supply of nutrient solutions. With his food sorted, he heads home, puts on his helmet, and logs back into Conviction. Spawning back in the game, he goes over his plan. Now that he has the Featherfall Jewel, he just needs to hit level 4 so he can go solo to the elite boss, Lion King Kato. He jumps straight into grinding, slicing through a bunch of water spiders until a golden light surrounds him, and the system announces he has reached level 4. He knows he only needs one more level to equip his new gold-grade dagger. He figures that killing a boss above his current level will give him the exact experience boost he needs to reach level 5. But before he can take on the Lion King, he needs to make a few preparations. He pulls out a return scroll and teleports back to Kalor City, making his way straight to the auction house. Inside the shop, Neon remembers that the SOS Valley dungeon will be opening soon. Large guilds will be rushing to clear it, but the werewolves inside inflict a nasty poison. This means the price of black phenol potions, the only cure, is going to skyrocket overnight. He asks the vendor for 9 quivers of poison arrows and then drops a bomb. He wants to buy every single black phenol potion and recipe the shop has in stock. The vendor is stunned but makes the sale. Walking out, Neon smirks, knowing he just completely cornered the market. Ready for his hunt, he takes the teleportation pad to Moto Town and heads straight out to the Crimson Dream Hills. Looking down from a high ridge, he finally spots his target, Lion King Kato, a level 7 elite monster with a massive 6,000 health pool. He notes the beast makes his old wild buffalo boss look like a joke. He scales the steep cliff face right above the boss to find a perfect angle. Finding his spot, he leaps backward off the sheer drop. Mid-air, he activates his Featherfall Jewel, making his body fall as light as a feather. As he floats down, he fires a strand of web from his silk spinner's ring, latching onto a sturdy tree branch sticking out of the cliffside. Thanks to the jewel's weight reduction, the silk doesn't snap under his weight. Standing completely out of the boss's reach, he loads his crossbow with the new poisoned arrows and gets ready to start the raid. Down below on the plains, a squad from the Unrivaled Guild is busy farming regular lions. Their level 6 shield warrior, Resplendent Bladelight, tells the team they should grind for another 2 hours to get enough lion felts. He flexes that they just got a super rare lion shield, though he wishes the lion armor dropped too. His mage teammate Guokao points out the armor only has a 0.1% drop rate. Bladelight just laughs, bragging that if he gets it, his defense will be invincible, which annoys another team member who thinks he's just showing off. Suddenly, Bladelight looks up at the sheer cliff face and is shocked to spot a player hanging from a small tree branch high above them. Up in his glitch spot, Neon takes aim and fires his crossbow. 3 poison arrows shoot down and strike Lion King Kato. The massive elite boss roars in anger as the poison status takes effect, but it can't reach the thief at all. The Unrivaled members watch in total awe. While Guokao is confused about why someone would face a monster with just a hand crossbow, another member points out how genius the spot is since the player can grind without taking a single point of damage. Bladelight quickly analyzes the setup. He recognizes the player used the silk spinner's ring, but notes that falling from that height should have definitely snapped the thread. He deduces the guy must also have a super rare item that reduces his own body weight. Realizing you can't just buy that kind of gear combination with money, Bladelight wonders exactly who this expert is. Guokao just stares, jealous of the completely safe grinding spot, but he shudders to think what kind of terrifying monster forced the player to use such extreme mechanics in the first place. Down below, one of the Unrivaled Guild members gets greedy and suggests stealing the elite kill. But before they can make a move, the ground starts violently shaking. The Lion King's roar just summoned its entire pride. Seeing a massive stampede of lions charging right at them, Bladelight panics and orders his squad to immediately split up and retreat. Up on his branch, Neon is completely untouched by the chaos. He specifically chose this glitch spot because the boss doesn't have a single ranged attack to hit him with. He just keeps firing, letting the continuous poison damage steadily chip away at the monster's health. He calculates that the massive 800% experience bonus from killing an elite boss this far above his level should push him straight to level 5 in one go. 30 minutes later, the Lion King's health drops to 20%, and the boss furiously roars as it enters a berserk state. Knowing the monster is on its last legs, Neon unleashes another volley of bolts. The arrows strike true, finally draining the last of its health and dropping the beast. With the raid over, Neon activates his Featherfall Jewel and floats safely down to the grass. He notes his strategy was completely flawless, as his high vantage point avoided the aggro of the summoned Lion Pride entirely. The boss's body dissolves into golden light, dropping its loot on the ground. Eager to see his rewards, Neon rushes over to quickly appraise the equipment. Neon uses his new Super Insight skill to check the boss loot. He finds a gold-grade Lion King shield and a gold-grade Black Blood cloak. He's thrilled because the cloak is exactly what he needs. Right then, the system officially announces his kill and he levels up to 5. This is a huge milestone because hitting level 5 means he can finally use the dual-wielding skill. He immediately equips his new setup, his horn dagger in his main hand, the gold assassin's precept in his offhand, his gold boots, and the Black Blood cloak. Feeling a massive boost to his movement speed, he notes he can now freely explore any monster zone level 7 and under. Suddenly, the ground starts shaking. Just as he expected, the Lion Pride finally spotted him. Neon activates his stealth skill and sprints away. As he dashes through the tall grass, he realizes he's about to crash into someone. He bumps right into a player, dropping out of stealth. He looks up and is shocked to see resplendent Blade Light, the shield warrior from earlier. Nian remembers him clearly from his past life, knowing the guy eventually becomes one of the top 3 shield warriors on the entire server. Before they can say much, a massive pack of lions charges in, cutting off their escape routes from both the front and back. Seeing they are completely trapped, Blade Light tells Nian they definitely can't break out on their own and offers to team up to fight their way out together. Nian agrees without hesitation. Blade Light lets out a loud battle cry and steps forward, raising his heavy shield to tank the front line of the charging beasts. Blade Light asks Nian if he has the stun skill so they can carve a path out together. Nian agrees and leaves the front line to him. Blade Light activates Intimidate to stop a charging lion, while Nian uses Stun to lock down a beast on his end. Blade Light follows up with a hamstring slash to cripple another lion. With the path clear, they quickly break through the gap and sprint away from the massive lion pride. As they escape into the safety of the woods, Nian notes how perfectly Blade Light kept up with his rhythm. The tank's solid defense allowed him to focus entirely on his DPS with complete peace of mind, proving exactly why Blade Light was ranked as a top 3 shield warrior in his past life. Catching their breath, Blade Light thanks him for helping break the siege. He officially introduces himself and promises to return the favor if Nian ever needs help in the future. Shaking his hand, Nian remembers Blade Light's tragic backstory. In his past life, Blade Light and his best friend, a mage named Hazewar, founded the Unrivaled Guild together. Since Blade Light didn't care about managing the guild, supreme power eventually fell into Hazewar's hands. Later on, Blade Light discovered his girlfriend was actually having an affair with Hazewar. Betrayed by his brother and his woman, he left the guild, causing Unrivaled to slowly degenerate into a second-rate group. Introducing himself as the thief Nirvana Flame, Nian looks at the shield warrior. He quietly decides that in this life, he might just be able to save Blade Light from that tragedy. Nian stops and offers to sell the gold-gray Lion King shield to Blade Light. Blade Light is amazed, noting the shield is worth at least 25 silver coins and is way better than the gear he just farmed. Since he doesn't have the cash on hand, he offers to trade thief items from his storage or gather the money later. Nian agrees to the deal. Changing the subject, Nian casually asks if Blade Light knows a player named Hazewo from the Unhindered Guild. When Blade Light confirms, Nian mentions that a buddy of his recently got into a conflict with Hazewo and a woman named Ji Yan at a bar in Kalor City. Blade Light instantly gets defensive. He states Ji Yan is his girlfriend and Hazewo is his brother, refusing to believe the 2 people he trusts most would sneak around behind his back. Blade Light accuses Nian of making up stories just to poach him. Nian doesn't argue. He just tells the tank that if he ever decides to leave his guild, he can come find him. Leaving Blade Light to his thoughts, Nian walks away. He knows he couldn't convince him right away, but the seed of doubt is successfully planted. Left alone, Blade Light tries to dismiss the story, but he realizes that if his best friend and girlfriend were actually doing something behind his back in the game, it would be very hard for him to find out. Meanwhile, Nian continues his solo grind. He sprints across the Crimson Dream Plains looking for his next target, a level 8 sub-elite monster called the Ogre Devourer. Perched up in a tree, he spots the giant green monster wandering below, noting it yields the most experience he can hunt right now aside from the Lion King. Nian checks the boss's stats, noting the level 8 Ogre Devourer has exactly 6,000 health. He considers himself lucky that it spawned completely alone, meaning no regular mobs will interfere with his hunt. He knows that despite its clumsy look, the monster covers a lot of ground with its massive strides, so he has to maintain a safe distance. He also remembers the most terrifying part of this fight from his past life's guides, the ogre's petrifying gaze. If he gets hit by it, he'll be completely paralyzed for 6 whole seconds, giving the monster plenty of time to smash him to death with a single club strike. He initiates the fight, firing a volley of poison bolts to start whittling down its health. Taking damage, the Ogre Devourer spots him and lets out a furious roar as it charges. It swings its giant wooden club down hard, but Nian easily jumps back, dodging the heavy smash. Knowing the boss's attack pattern perfectly, Nian expects its next move, fully aware that within 3 seconds of its first attack, it will trigger its stun. The ogre roars again as its eyes flash green, casting Petrifying Gaze. With perfect timing, Nian activates his Silk Spinner's ring, shooting a web into the trees and swinging himself high into the air. Completely dodging the paralyzing attack, he takes aim while midair and fires another barrage of arrows down at the frustrated boss. The Ogre Devourer fires its green Petrifying Gaze, but Nian uses his Silk Spinner's ring to swing through the branches and completely dodge the attack. Glad he has the ring to easily kite the boss, he keeps up his hit-and-run tactics. He fires his poisoned arrows while midair, slowly chipping the monster's health down to 31%. He figures he just needs a few more minutes of kiting to win this battle of attrition. However, as he lands on the ground, he spots 3 normal ogres blocking his path ahead. He knows that if he gets surrounded by them, he won't be able to escape the boss's next stun attack. Left with no other choice and knowing the boss only has a sliver of health left, Nian activates Spelth and dashes straight at the Ogre Devourer to force a direct kill. The boss spots him, roaring as it swings its heavy club down to smash him. Right before the weapon hits, Ni Yan shoots a web with his ring and smoothly swings himself right behind the monster as the club shatters the ground. Mid-air and perfectly positioned behind the boss, Ni Yan goes in for the kill. He activates Vital Strike and slashes the Ogre Devourer across the back for 50 damage. The massive elite boss roars in pain before completely collapsing to the ground. Just as Ni Yan lands and notes a success, he gets caught off guard. One of the 3 normal ogres from earlier suddenly rushes in with a sneak attack, slamming its heavy wooden club right into Ni Yan for a massive 60 damage critical hit. The ogre roars in triumph, thinking it just flattened the thief. However, the monster quickly gets confused. Instead of being crushed into the dirt, Ni Yan is standing perfectly still right next to the massive club. Covered in a dark, menacing aura with his eyes glowing red, he slowly turns his head and coldly asks the ogre if it was the one who just hit him. Ni Yan easily dispatches the rest of the ogres, leaving their bodies scattered across the grass. Checking his status, he notes that killing monsters above his level is giving him a massive experience boost, pushing his EXP bar all the way to 74%. The high-level grind also yields an insane drop rate. He checks his new loot and finds a gold-grade Moonlight Ritual Staff and a gold-grade crossbow of bloodshed. He's thrilled with the repeating crossbow, especially since it comes with a 10% armor penetration bonus and a triple shot effect. He equips it immediately and decides to toss the staff and his old swapped-out gear into the auction house for some extra cash. Arriving at the Carol City auction house, he hands his items over to the NPC vendor to consign. While he's there, he also tells the vendor to give him every single black phenol potion material they have in stock. Walking through the bustling player market, he hears a guy shouting about selling advanced potion materials and a thief's rapid retreat skill book. The skill catches Ni Yan's attention, and he walks over to check it out. Approaching the seller, Ni Yan quickly sizes him up. He notices the guy is wearing Lightwalker robes and holding a Wind of the Falling Moon staff. He mentally notes that for a solo player to have that kind of equipment, his strength must be pretty impressive. Ni Yan tells the seller he has great luck getting a rapid retreat drop, pointing out it's an incredibly strong disengage skill for thieves to escape combat in the wild. The guy happily agrees, bragging that his friends grinded Radiant Canyon for days without seeing anything good, but he got the book in just 3 hours. He boasts that it sells for even more than a piece of silver gray gear. Hearing the location of Radiant Canyon, Ni Yan immediately connects the dots. He asks the guy if he entered the Radiant Monastery dungeon, pointing out that if they cleared it, there should be way more loot than just a rapid retreat book. He cuts right to the chase and asks if a Fatal Strike skill book dropped too. The seller admits they are still far from defeating the monsters inside the Radiant Monastery. Ni Yan checks the guy's name, Divine Retribution of the Past, and immediately recognizes him. In his past life, this guy got into a massive conflict with the Radiant Sacred Flame Guild, killing hundreds of their members alongside his friends. But since he was just a solo player without a guild to back him up, he eventually faded into obscurity. Ni Yan is surprised to run into him like this. Introducing himself as Nirvana Flame, Ni Yan offers 1 silver and 50 copper coins for the Rapid Retreat skill book. Divine Retribution notices Ni Yan's high-tier gear, specifically calling out his Black Blood cloak, and realizes he's dealing with a real expert. He refuses the extra 50 copper, insisting that just 1 silver coin is a fair price. They officially introduce themselves and add each other as friends. Ni Yan casually mentions he might put a team together and suggests they could run a dungeon in the future. Divine Retribution excitedly agrees, saying his group was just worrying about not having enough players to form a full party. Ni Yan then points to the large pile of herbs on the table and asks about them. Divine Retribution explains that out of his 5-man group, 3 of them learned the gathering skill just to earn some extra money through secondary professions. He points over to the nearby Pharmacist Association, mentioning they need to sell the herbs to them. Over at the Pharmacist Association, a loud argument breaks out. An armored guy yells that the potion brewing failure isn't his fault this time. A guy in a tan tunic snaps back, asking whose fault it is then. The armored guy defends himself, claiming someone tampered with the setup while he wasn't looking. The armored guy isn't having it, and violently slaps the guy in the tunic, scattering his herbs across the floor. He yells that their guild leader gave him tons of materials and he just wasted them all, losing their initial investment. He brutally kicks the guy while he's down, mocking him for thinking he had some special hidden skill. He then makes fun of his ridiculous username, Bird with no eggs left, and officially kicks him out of the Dark Ranger Guild before walking away. Divine Retribution tells Ni Yan it's just a private guild drama and suggests they shouldn't get involved. But Ni Yan's eyes narrow as he recognizes the guy on the floor. He notes that enemies really do cross paths on a narrow road. He remembers that in his past life, this guy with the dumb username eventually earned the title King of Potions. After getting kicked out today, he ended up joining Ni Yan's enemies, the Victorious Return Guild. The exclusive, tricky potions he created for them caused Ni Yan a massive amount of suffering back then. Knowing exactly who he's looking at, Ni Yan slowly approaches the fallen alchemist. Ni Yan considers that even though they were enemies in his past life, the guy wasn't actually a bad person. He only worked so hard for the Victorious Return Guild because they were the ones who finally recognized his talent. Right now, he's just a lowly apprentice with no value to anyone else, making it the perfect opportunity to recruit him. With his current funds, Ni Yan knows funding a future King of Potions will be easy. Realizing he needs to slowly build his own faction with potion shops and auction houses, he notes that recruiting top talent is the most crucial step. He walks right up to the fallen alchemist and asks for the name of the mage who just beat him up. The guy looks up and tells him the mage's name is Razor, but defensively asks what it has to do with him. Neon asks if he feels humiliated, offering him a simple deal. Come with him, and he'll make his old guild regret their actions today. Skeptical, the alchemist asks why he should believe a total stranger. Neon casually replies that it's because he doesn't think he's a useless piece of trash. Besides, since the guy has absolutely nothing left to his name, there's zero reason for Neon to try and scam him anyway. Neon tells him it all depends on whether he has the courage to change, then turns and walks right out the door. Left alone on the floor, the alchemist replays Neon's words in his head. Clenching his teeth, he cries out that he isn't a piece of trash and refuses to just accept this outcome. Walking outside through the city streets, Neon confidently notes that the kid will definitely follow him. He relates to the alchemist, remembering how his own past life was exactly like that, bullied and totally powerless to do anything about it. But this time around, he finally has the power to change things and personally rewrite his destiny. Right on cue, the alchemist runs out of the building and calls for him to wait. He catches up to Nie Yan and asks what he wants him to do. He openly admits that, aside from brewing potions, he doesn't know how to do anything else. He even confesses that he still messes up the simplest recipes and has already wasted countless materials. Nie Yan tells him he just wants him to keep brewing potions. He then asks the guy about his hidden skill. The alchemist explains that after successfully brewing a bottle, he has a 2% chance to enhance the effect of that specific type of potion. Nie Yan notes that it's actually a pretty good hidden skill. However, the alchemist sighs and points out that his base brewing success rate is 70% lower than everyone else's. Because of this massive drop, hiring him to brew anything is basically a guaranteed financial loss. Hearing this, Neon simply pats him on the shoulder and promises to completely cover all his potion brewing expenses. Stunned, the guy asks if he is serious, and Neon confidently assures him he is. Reflecting on the encounter, the alchemist notes how strange it is for this player to willingly lose money just to supply him with herbs. Still, he feels a strong premonition that from the moment he decided to follow this stranger, his destiny began quietly changing. Even though he doesn't know what the future holds, he resolves to just keep walking forward. Neon drafts up a contract and hands it over. Reading through it, the alchemist is completely shocked. Not only does he get all his herbs supplied for free, but he also gets a massive 30% cut of the profits once the potions are sold. He points out that this percentage is way too high, noting that even top-tier alchemists in good guilds only get a 20% cut. Neon just brushes it off, telling him it's already decided and that he is well worth the price. Fired up by the trust, the alchemist confidently promises not to let him take a loss on this investment. Next, Neon takes him to the general store, explaining that a real alchemist needs a large capacity bag and high-quality equipment. A moment later, the kid is standing outside, completely overwhelmed as he holds a brand new, massive backpack stuffed to the brim with herbs. He sincerely thanks Nirvana Flame, admitting he doesn't even know how to repay such a huge favor. Neon casually tells him to stop being so cheesy, adding that he obviously has his own motives. He just tells the kid to go brew some potions because he's counting on him to make them a fortune. Calling him boss, the alchemist eagerly runs off to start brewing. Watching him go, Neon thinks to himself that in this life, he'll raise the kid into a Grandmaster Alchemist. He refuses to be trampled by those massive financial groups ever again, knowing he needs to build his own team to fight back. With the alchemist officially his first recruit, he decides it's time to get back to his own business. He sets his sights on the ruins of the ancient city of Sogo. He remembers that aside from the chapter of order, there's another god-tier artifact perfectly suited for thieves, a legendary pair of boots called Sogo's Shadow. The combat boots were split into 3 fragments scattered across the Viridian Empire, and a player has to gather all 3 to restore the item to its original legendary form. Stepping onto the dark, muddy ground, a system notification pops up confirming he has discovered the Natlan Marshes. Looking out over the gloomy swamp, Nie Yan smiles. He knows that in his past life, the fragments of Sogo's Shadow were taken away early on, but this time around, he's determined to make sure this divine artifact belongs solely to him. Without wasting any time, he dashes forward into the swamp to begin his search. Suddenly, a level 6 swamp giant lizard bursts out of the muddy water and lunges right at him. Neon easily dodges the attack and readies his dual daggers. Activating Vital Strike, he slices the monster with both blades, dealing massive hits of 83 and 97 damage. As the lizard crashes back into the mud, Neon follows right up, plunging both daggers down into the beast for another 179 damage. The quick combo instantly drains the rest of its 360 health, killing it on the spot. Standing over the dead monster, Neon notes that even though the muddy swamp environment limits his movements a bit, his new level and upgraded gear make killing higher-level mobs completely effortless. As Neon ventures deeper into the swamp, the fog grows thicker. He reminds himself to stay alert for hidden monsters and other players. He knows the Natlan Marshes are a forbidden zone for low-level players but a goldmine for experts, mainly because it drops good gear in the rare Priest Resurrection skill book. Suddenly, his head spins and he starts taking continuous tick damage. He realizes he's poisoned just as a giant spike tail sweeps through the fog right at him. Reacting instantly, he activates his newly bought Swift Retreat skill, launching himself backward to safely dodge the heavy attack. He looks up and spots a massive green snake. The system tags it as a level 7 elite monster, the Horned Basilisk, with exactly 1,200 health. Landing perfectly on his feet, Nian is glad he picked up that escape skill when he did. He quickly assesses the situation, noting that while the boss's stats aren't insanely high, fighting a giant snake in this muddy swamp terrain means he is absolutely no match for it. The Horned Basilisk lets out a terrifying roar and lunges straight for him. Knowing he can't win this fight, Nian immediately turns and makes a mad dash through the swamp to escape the massive snake. Meanwhile, in another part of the marshes, a team of players is waiting around. A level 6 berserker wonders out loud why their teammate, Candy, hasn't come back yet. His teammate, a level 6 holy mage named Suoli, figures that he must have pulled every single monster in the nearby area. The berserker agrees, noting that the place is completely cleared out, and if they don't move further in soon they won't have anything left to fight. Just then, the scene cuts to Candy, a level 5 thief. He is sprinting for his life through the mist, blowing a whistle as he frantically kites a massive pack of angry swamp giant lizards right back toward his group. Seeing the swarm of lizards approaching, the berserker orders Suyan to prepare her magic. He charges right into the pack, spinning his heavy red sword to slice through the monsters with a whirlwind slash. Right on cue, Suyan drops a massive lightning spell called Roaring Thunderburst, blasting the lizards for 360 damage. Candy easily finishes off a surviving lizard by stabbing it right in the eye for 100 damage. Landing on the ground among the dead monsters, the thief clicks his tongue and complains about how boring it is that they die so quickly. The berserker notes that they've basically cleared out the entire area. He tells the team to take a quick breather to recover their stats before they move to a new grinding spot. Still running through the swamp, Nian spots the party through the fog. He immediately notices their high-end gear and figures they're a pretty strong team. At the same time, the berserker spots him too, noting that any thief exploring this dangerous zone solo must be seriously skilled. Candy, however, just smiles, thrilled to finally have some real entertainment. Declaring Yi Yen as his prey, the enemy thief activates stealth and vanishes into the mist. Feeling the sudden hostility, Ni Yan is confused about why these random players are directing killing intent at him when he hasn't even done anything to provoke them. But he doesn't have much time to figure it out as the berserker charges straight at him, ready for a fight. Seeing the berserker charging, Ni Yan smirks. If they want to pick a fight, he decides they can't blame him for passing off his aggro. The berserker swings his heavy red sword, but Ni Yan just leaps right over him, easily dodging the attack. Right then, a loud hissing sound echoes through the fog. The berserker stops, completely confused by the noise, just as the massive horned basilisk bursts out of the mist right in front of him. Staring up at the giant snake, the berserker panics, realizing he just got baited straight into the path of an elite boss. The massive snake slams into the berserker, sending him skidding backward across the mud. Realizing the trap, the berserker yells for his team to watch out, warning them that Nian is trying to lure the boss right to them. Suddenly, a lightning spell strikes Nian, dealing a heavy 67 damage. The system notifies him that a player named Suchi attacked him, giving him 30 minutes of legitimate defense time without penalty. Taking the hit, Nian notes that these players aren't simple if they can dish out that much damage. Right then, the enemy thief, Candy, drops out of stealth to backstab him. But Nian's reflexes are too fast. He spots the ambush, instantly spins around and hits Candy with a stun skill, completely shutting down the attack. Knocked back and shocked that he was spotted, Candy realizes Nian's reaction speed is insanely fast. Shooting a web into the trees to quickly swing away to safety, Nian lands and realizes these players are true masters. Knowing he can't fight them all head-on, he decides to rely on the basilisk's power to do the heavy lifting. The giant snake completely shifts its aggro and lunges right at the berserker. The tank barely blocks the massive fangs with his sword, loudly cursing Nian for dumping the boss on them. Struggling against the monster, the berserker tells his team to watch out and orders Candy to go intercept the rogue thief. Candy smirks, promises to handle it, and vanishes into stealth. Up in the trees, Nian activates his own stealth skill and fades into the shadows. The enemy mage spots him disappearing and frantically warns her team not to let him get close. In safely in the fog, Nian uses his combat bandage to quietly heal his health back up. He figures this team is actually strong enough that they might be able to grind the basilisk to death. Knowing they are on high alert looking for his position, he decides to just stay put and let the boss stall them for a while. Down on the ground, the basilisk unleashes a massive breath of green poison gas. The berserker takes a direct hit and starts taking continuous 30-point ticks of damage. Panicking, he yells for his healer, Shi Yan, to quickly cast a spell. Watching from the shadows, Nian patiently bides his time, knowing his perfect opportunity to strike will be the exact moment their healer drops their guard to make a move. Shi Yan raises his glowing staff to cast the cleanse. Seeing the perfect opening, Nian leaps from the shadows and lunges straight for the priest. But out of nowhere, Candy yells for Shiyan to drop the dispel and cast Illuminate instead. The enemy thief suddenly jumps in and perfectly blocks Nian's strike with his own dagger. Candy smirks, happy that his guess was right on the money. A system message warns Nian that his stealth has failed. The Illuminate spell hits him, covering his body in a bright glowing aura. Knowing his cover is blown, Nian instantly activates Rapid Retreat, launching himself backward to create distance. He realizes the Glimmer Mark will completely reveal his position for the next 2 minutes. Annoyed that his sneak attack failed for the first time since being reborn, he decides to fall back and dashes away into the fog. Shi-Yan thanks Candy for the save, asking how he found the hidden thief. Candy casually replies that he just guessed. Still struggling against the giant snake, the berserker yells for them to come help him. Since the basilisk's health is almost empty and Nian is temporarily marked, the team figures the thief won't dare get close again. They turn their attention back to the boss, determined to finish it off first. The team unloads on the horned basilisk, blasting it with lightning spells and dropping its health down to just a tiny sliver. Watching from a high rock, Nian knows the boss is on its last legs and is about to make a run for it. Right on cue, the giant snake spews a massive cloud of green poison gas to block the team, turns around and quickly slithers away into the fog. The enemy team panics, yelling for everyone to chase it down before it escapes. Seeing the boss heading in his direction, Nian smirks, thrilled that his luck is so good today. He realizes he has the perfect chance to intercept and finish off the low-health basilisk before the rest of the team can catch up. Leaping down from the rocks, he dashes through the swamp and easily catches up right behind the fleeing monster. Nian fires his crossbow, hitting the fleeing basilisk with 3 quick bolts. Without losing any momentum, he dashes right up to the giant snake and plunges his dagger into it with a vital strike. The hit deals 51 damage, completely emptying the boss's remaining health and sending it crashing dead into the mud. Just as the monster falls, the enemy team bursts through the fog, having frantically followed the boss's trail. They spot Nian standing over the fresh carcass and immediately realize what just happened. One of the players furiously curses, noticing that the thief just snatched a dropped skill book right out from under them. Enraged, the squad leader orders his team to intercept him while the mage quickly charges up another lightning spell. But Nian has no intention of sticking around for a fight. Having successfully stolen their elite kill and the best loot, he just flashes them a smug wave and mockingly thanks the group for doing all the hard work grinding the monster for him. Leaping away from the lightning blast, Nian lands safely on the ground. He checks the skill book he snatched from the enemy team and is thrilled to see his luck is this good. It's the basic resurrection skill book. The system details that it's a priceless spell for lawful good priests, allowing them to revive a fallen teammate after combat with a 10-second chant time. Not wanting to deal with the angry players behind him, he pops a speed scroll and sprints away through the swamp. He knows that with his massive speed boost, there's absolutely no way they can catch him. After running for a while, he finally comes to a stop as a system notification tells him he discovered Sogat Ancient City. He looks up at a massive, dark Gothic fortress surrounded by fog and walks inside. The system confirms he entered Sogat's fortress. Walking past piles of bones scattered across the floor, he notes that he didn't expect to stumble into this place by accident. He remembers that the monsters here give generous experience despite having weak stats, making it a perfect spot to level up. Right then, one of the skeletons on the ground suddenly pieces itself together. Its eyes glow red as it grabs an axe and lunges at him. The system tags it as a level 10 skeleton pilgrim, specifically noting that it only has 120 health and is extremely fragile. Nian swings his dagger and slices the skeleton right in half with a single hit. The system rewards him with 230 experience thanks to a massive 200% level gap bonus, confirming his thought that he can easily one-shot these mobs. However, the commotion awakens all the other skeletons in the fortress. Extremely fragile level 10 mages and level 8 tierers start standing up, surrounding him from every direction. As one of the skeletons swings its heavy axe, Nian quickly dodges and fires a web from his silk weaver's ring. He latches onto a high stone archway and swings himself up to a platform, completely escaping the massive mob gathering below. Landing safely on the high ledge, he spots a couple of scrolls resting on the stone floor. He picks one up and checks the system prompt. It's a one-time use special item called the Scroll of Summoned Spirit. The description explains that it summons an ancient soul with a chance to control it, but warns that failing to control the spirit will cause a severe backlash. Nian figures that even if the summoned soul is weak and basically just a meat shield, it'll still be pretty useful in this ancient city. He slices his finger with his dagger and drops some blood right onto the scroll to activate it. A glowing blue magic circle flares up, and a ghostly figure materializes from the light. The system identifies the summon as a level 10 Wraith Assassin with 230 health. It comes equipped with concealment, stun, and a self-destruct skill, and has a 30-minute time limit. Thinking the summon was a success, Nian points and orders the Wraith to go help him clear out the skeletons. But instead of obeying, the ghost's eyes suddenly flash purple. It draws its sword and lunges straight at Nian. He quickly jumps back to dodge the heavy slash, instantly realizing that the control failed and he is now suffering the scroll's dangerous backlash. Nian quickly activates Rapid Retreat to dodge the ghost's attack. He knows the level gap between them is huge, so if he lets the Wraith enter its stealth state, he won't be able to see it at all. Suddenly, the monster appears right beside him. Moving at insane speed, it slashes Nian 3 times, dealing over 50 damage per hit. He realizes his stats are heavily suppressed because of the massive level difference. Pushed to the limit, Nian counterattacks with his stun skill, landing a critical hit for 76 damage. The Wraith gets dazed, giving Neon a brief window. He quickly backs off and uses his combat bandage skill to heal himself back up. He notes that since he is technically still the monster's master, he gets a damage bonus against it, otherwise winning this fight would be completely impossible. Taking full advantage of the stun, he dashes right back in and slices the Wraith twice for over 40 damage each. As he keeps attacking, the Wraith assassin's health drops near 30%. The monster's body starts glowing purple and swelling up. Neon knows that when its health gets this low, it automatically triggers its self-destruct skill. Realizing the explosion will instantly kill him, he decides he has to finish it off right now. He dashes forward, leaps into the air, and brings both daggers down with a vital strike. The double hit deals just enough damage to completely empty the Wraith's health bar, killing the monster right before it can explode. As the ghost dissipates into the air, Neon breathes a sigh of relief, noting that the summon was way too tough to deal with. He then notices a glowing item left behind on the floor. He picks up a silver skull with green jeweled eyes. The system identifies it as a cursed skull, an item of destiny. The description explains that crushing it gives 3 dice of destiny. Rolling greater than a 3 grants a potion reward, while rolling 3 or less inflicts a curse. The higher the number, the better the reward, but the lower the number, the more severe the punishment. It also warns that the skull will disappear in 3 minutes if it isn't used. Looking at the item, Neon wonders if this is something that belongs to the Dark Faction. Neon recalls the lore of the Dark Underground, a diseased place filled with ancient tombs and evil necromancers. Staring at the skull, he realizes this gamble relies entirely on pure luck, meaning his memories from his past life won't give him any advantage here. He hesitates, wondering if he should really use it, but he quickly grits his teeth, deciding that destiny is meant to be challenged. Refusing to cower and hold back in this new life, he crushes the skull in his hand. A bright blue light bursts out, and a massive stone die drops onto the ground in front of him. Looking at the dice of destiny, Neon points his hand forward and commands it to start. The giant die floats up into the air and begins spinning rapidly inside a glowing aura. After letting it roll for a moment, he yells out for it to stop. The giant die lands on a red 3. Instantly, a system notification pops up warning him that he has received the permanent plague weakness curse, which drops his strength by 10 points. Neon takes a hit of dark purple energy, cursing his bad luck. But he quickly consoles himself, noting that at least it wasn't a 1 or a 2, and his new chapter of courage can slowly make up for those lost 10 strength points over time. Getting ready for the second roll, the die begins to spin rapidly in the air again. Hoping he doesn't get hit by an even worse curse, Neon calls out for it to stop. The die lands on a red 5. A system window flashes, announcing that he has obtained the Undead Right skill. Glowing with purple magic, Neon reads the skill details. Undead Right lets him sacrifice 30% of his health for a 20% chance to command an undead creature for up to 3 hours. It's an Undead Temple skill, which is advanced magic on the same tier as Elemental Temple skills. Neon is thrilled, realizing that with this skill he can go completely crazy grinding levels in the high-expect undead territories. He reflects on how these items of destiny can either launch a player straight to the heavens in a single step or damn them completely. The die begins to spin for the third and final time. Watching it whirl, Neon wonders if his last roll will bring him a massive surprise or endless regret. Neon calls out for the die to stop. It spins and lands on a 5 once again. He is surprised to get another 5, wondering what his reward will be this time. A highly detailed carved box appears in his hand. The system identifies it as a Pandora's box, which is also a destiny item. Neon is stunned to actually hold it, remembering only hearing rumors about this legendary item in his past life. He checks the description. Placing 3 items of the same tier into the box gives a 10% chance to upgrade them to a higher tier, like turning 3 pieces of gold-grade gear into a dark gold item. However, if it fails, all the items disappear. It also features a spinner mechanic where stopping the pointer in the luck area grants +5 luck, but missing it gives +5 bad luck. Neon is thrilled, knowing that 5 points of luck is an insane stat that can boost his drop rates by 200% and his synthesis success rate by 20%. Even better, with his precise thief reflexes, he'll be able to easily control the pointer to stop on the luck area every time. He concludes that trading 10 points of strength for both the Undead Right and this Pandora's box was definitely a massive win. Storing the box away for later, he decides it's time to deal with his current situation. He dashes forward, shoots a web from his Silk Weaver's ring to swing past the obstacles, and lands on a new platform. The system notifies him that he has discovered the Sogot Arena, and he looks out over a massive ruined Colosseum. Standing in the ruined arena, Neon watches as the piles of bones on the ground start piecing themselves together. A massive, heavily armored monster rises up, and the system tags it as a level 10 skeleton fighter, a leader-grade boss with 600 HP. Neon knows that with their massive level gap, this giant can easily crush him to death. Realizing his only option is to try and tame it, Neon activates his newly acquired Undead Right skill. He unleashes a blast of dark purple energy at the giant monster. The system confirms he cast the skill on the skeleton gladiator, immediately sacrificing 30% of his own health to make the attempt. Unfortunately, the taming fails. The giant skeleton lets out a massive roar, completely unaffected, and lunges right at him. Just as its heavy fist is about to crush him, Yan instantly uses rapid retreat, launching himself backward to safely dodge the attack. As the skeleton monster charges at him again, Yan takes a risk and casts Undead Right a second time. The system confirms he used the skill, sacrificing another 30% of his health to make the attempt. Fortunately, his luck pulls through, and a notification announces the skill was successfully cast. The system asks him to name the undead under his command, and he decides to call it Dark Gladiator. The system registers the name, letting him know the summon will automatically be destroyed in 3 hours. Before Yan can celebrate his new tank, another monster, a beastly skeleton with glowing red eyes, suddenly leaps from the shadows to ambush him. But before the beast can even get close, the newly tamed Dark Gladiator leaps into action. With its eyes glowing a loyal purple, the giant skeleton grabs the attacking beast right by the jaws, slamming it to the ground and showing off its massive strength. The newly named Dark Gladiator displays its overwhelming power, slamming the beastly skeleton hard into the ground. Although the beastly skeleton struggles to push itself back up, the giant gladiator unleashes a heavy dark energy slash, completely crushing the monster into pieces. At the same time, the system awards Yan the full experience for taming the level 10 leader-grade skeleton gladiator, treating the successful capture as a kill. Thanks to a massive 1,700% bonus for the immense level gap, he receives 1,700 experience points. A bright golden light surrounds him as he instantly levels up to level 6. Yan is highly pleased with the result, noting that the huge cross-level bonus from a level 10 boss was more than enough to shoot his character straight to level 6. Looking at the floor, Yan picks up a piece of gold-grade gear dropped by the boss, the Gladiator Spaulders. It requires level 10 and gives a massive 57 defense, 13 strength, and 17 tenacity. He's pleased, noting that it will sell for a lot of cash. He also notes that the top player on the leaderboard is only level 8, meaning he is rapidly closing the gap. The giant Dark Gladiator kneels before him in a show of loyalty. Yan praises his new servant, realizing that with this powerful summon protecting him, he can basically do whatever he wants in the Sogo ancient city. He orders the Dark Gladiator to follow him as they head deeper into the ruins. Deep in the castle hallways, Yan spots more skeleton mobs patrolling. He considers this perfect timing, planning to use some health potions so he can safely cast Undead Right to tame even more skeletons. He hopes to find the fragments of the legendary Shadow of Sogo boots right here in one go. Meanwhile, another party of level 6 players is struggling in a different part of the ruins. Their shield warrior Yan complains that there are way too many skeletons and he almost died, noting that grinding here without a summoner or a holy mage is a massive disadvantage. His teammate, a shadow dancer thief named Forgotten, agrees, saying that even though the experience is great, you can't survive without 3 or 4 priests, making a solo run of this place completely impossible. The holy priest Chizai takes a breath and suggests they shouldn't rush, advising his team to just push forward slowly. But as they walk, everyone else falls dead silent. Confused, Chizai asks why they've suddenly stopped talking, only for the masked thief, Forgotten, to point into the darkness and tell him to look. Walking out of the shadows is Yan, completely surrounded by a squad of controlled skeleton summons wrapped in dark purple mist. The group is completely stunned. They frantically whisper among themselves, wondering if he's a high-level NPC or a player. Some ask if he's a necromancer, but others point out that he clearly looks like a thief. Yan spots them too, surprised to find a player party out here. Looking at their usernames, he instantly recognizes Chizai and Forgotten. He remembers that in his past life, these guys eventually became extremely famous, top-tier experts, which explains why they're already farming in a high-level area like this. Meanwhile, Chizai is sweating as he grips his staff. He is in disbelief that a solo thief is actually running this dangerous ancient city all by himself. He nervously warns his team that if this guy orders his skeleton squad to charge at them, their entire party will probably get completely wiped out in seconds. As Yan walks closer, flanked by his giant skeleton summons, he thinks to himself that no matter how powerful these guys were in his past life, in this life, they can only look up to him. Seeing him approach, the team starts to panic, but Chizai tells everyone to stay calm, since the thief might not actually attack them. True to his thought, Yan simply walks right past their group and disappears further into the ruins. Once he is out of sight, the team collapses in relief. The warrior and the elven girl are completely shaken, noting that Yan's presence gave off a terrifying sense of oppression that was worse than facing an actual skeleton leader. Forgotten is also in total disbelief. As a fellow thief, he can't comprehend how someone is actually able to solo run the Sogat ancient city. He then mentions to Chizai that he managed to catch the thief's username, which appeared to be Nirvana Flame. Upon hearing the name, Chizai's eyes widened in absolute shock. He grabs his teammate, frantically asking him to repeat what he just said, completely stunned to realize they just crossed paths with the famous Nirvana Flame. Chizai is stunned, remembering he heard about a player named Yan who wiped out a bunch of members from the Holy Flame Guild. He realizes it really is him, and notes that the guy hasn't even joined a guild yet. The shield warrior adds that it's no wonder he dared to solo Sogat ancient city, as he's completely confident in his own strength. Chizai agrees, saying while their own team isn't weak, it's best to stay on his good side and not make an enemy out of someone like him. Meanwhile, Ni-Yan searches deeper into the ruins, wondering where the shadow fragment of Soga is hidden. He peeks past a wall and spots a patrol of level 13 skeleton executioners. These are sub-elite monsters with 1,200 HP. He didn't expect to find so many sub-elites here, realizing the price to get the legendary fragment is going to be incredibly high. Since his level 10 Dark Gladiator is no match for them, he decides to try and tame one of the executioners with undead right. Using his hand crossbow, he fires 3 bolts to pull one of the monsters. The bolts only deal a tiny bit of chip damage, but it's enough to grab the skeleton executioner's attention. The monster roars and charges right at him, swinging a giant battle axe. As it approaches, Ni-Yan activates Undead Right, sacrificing another 30% of his own health to cast it. Unfortunately, the system announces that the skill failed. The giant skeleton slams its axe down, and Ni-Yan is forced to retreat at full speed, barely dodging the heavy strike. Sweating, he runs through the ruins, realizing there are simply too many skeleton executioners here to even get a clean opening to cast his taming skill. On top of that, because of the massive level gap, the success rate is way too low. Even if he gets lucky and tames one, the other executioners will tear him to pieces in seconds. He wonders if he has to give up for today, but he knows if he leaves now, he might not be able to get a strong summon like the Dark Gladiator next time, and someone else might beat him to the shadow of Sogat. As Ni-Yan tries to figure out his next move, he spots the player group from earlier approaching. At the same time, the group immediately notices his giant summon, and the shield warrior, Yi-Yan, warns Chizai that the solo thief is right there. Chizai raises his hands politely, explaining they don't mean any harm and just happen to wander over. Ni-Yan coldly replies that whether they mean harm or not is none of his business, but he'd appreciate it if they kept their distance. Chizai laughs and tells him he's overthinking it, saying they just want to make friends since there is no grudge between them. He asks if there's anything they can help him with, noting Ni-Yan must have come to this dangerous area alone for a reason. Hearing the word help, Ni-Yan's mind starts working. He realizes that if this group can lure those level 13 skeleton executioners away, he'll actually have a clear path to enter the pyramid and grab the legendary fragment. Noting how nervously Chizai is staring at the giant Dark Gladiator standing right behind him, Ni-Yan proposes a deal. He tells them if they help him with a dangerous task, he will reward them with a piece of gold-grade equipment. The team is completely blown away by the offer. The shield warrior is in disbelief, while Forgotten can't comprehend how a solo player is casually throwing around gold-grade gear. However, Chizai plays it cool and declines, stating they aren't short on a single piece of gear and genuinely just want to help him out, leaving his own team completely shocked. Ni-Yan tells Chizai that one good turn deserves another, and as long as they help him, he will keep his promise. Agreeing to the deal, Chizai asks what he needs them to do and introduces himself. Ni-Yan shakes his hand and gives his name. Ni-Yan then points toward the level 13 skeleton executioners guarding the path. Chizai looks nervous, asking if he wants them to fight those things. Ni-Yan clarifies that if they attack even one, the rest will swarm them, so he just wants their team to lure the monsters away. Chizai is relieved it's just a pull. Ni-Yan explains that 30 seconds is all he needs to slip past them and enter the pyramid. Chizai tells him to leave it to them. The system announces Ni-Yan has joined the party, and Chizai immediately passes him the leadership. As Ni-Yan walks away to get into position, the shield warrior, Yi-Yan, comments on how much pressure Ni-Yan's giant skeleton summon gives off, wondering what could possibly be inside that pyramid to make him risk his life. Chizai then orders his team to move out, and they immediately sprint forward to draw the monster's attention. Ni-Yan gets into position near the pyramid entrance and messages the group in the party chat, letting them know he's ready. On his signal, the thief, Forgotten, leaps out of the shadows and yells to draw the attention of the level 13 skeleton executioners. The skeleton pack immediately reacts, roaring and charging right at him. Forgotten takes off running, cursing as he realizes every single one of them took the bait. Back at their defense line, the shield warrior, Yi-Yan, and the priest, Chizai, brace themselves, readying their shields and spells to block the incoming wave of monsters. Watching from his hiding spot, Yi-Yan sees that the entrance is completely clear. Calling it a perfect opportunity, he dashes right through the doors and enters the pyramid. Sprinting into the pyramid, Ni-Yan quickly messages his team in the party chat, telling them he successfully made it in and ordering them to run and lose the mobs. He thanks them for their help and promises to give them their gold-grade equipment once he gets back. And Chizai tells him not to mention it. Inside the quiet, dark halls, Ni-Yan sighs, glad he finally made it in. Followed by his giant Dark Gladiator, he starts looking around, wondering exactly where Sogath's shadow fragment is hidden. He touches a stone pillar as he walks, but suddenly hears a sharp click. Before he can react, the floor drops out beneath him, and he falls down, realizing he just triggered a trap. He plunges straight into a deep pool of water. Recovering quickly, he swims downward and spots a bright light, figuring it must be the exit. He swims through the underwater passage and splashes up onto a stone floor. Standing up in a huge, empty underground hall, he looks toward the center and spots a massive, heavily carved stone coffin. A system warning pops up, telling him this is the tomb of Lord Sarastot, and warning that any intruder who dares disturb it will face the Lord's punishment.